YouTube. Good morning, Macon, Georgia, and everyone else around the world through the World Wide Web. This is the Morning Roast for Flippin' Friday, May 10th, 2013. It's 8:03 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. You're here watching us live from the Nut House with Ant, Irv, DB, and Ed behind the wheels of steel.
Good morning, everybody.
There you go. That's how you do it, Derek.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's how
That
you
was
do it.
not near a flub on that one, Derek.
Thank you very much.
Man.
By the way,
Flow.
Great Beard, it's 8:03, not
That was,
8:05.
that was 1 out of 640 that he got right.
You had more practice than I will tonight.
There you go.
It's-
Welcome.
Welcome. It's 56 degrees, believe it or not, in Macon, Georgia. 56 degrees is sunny with a high of 83 and a low of 63, but it may be kind of sunny. There also, I was watching, there may be a flood watch at least till...
Again?
Tomorrow. Well, because it's going to be raining tomorrow.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, it's raining.
What about today?
Oh, hell, it's
It's
raining.
sunny.
We got our
Sunny
march
today.
tomorrow and it's raining. What are the
Wow.
what are the chances of the rain, though? Is it for sure or they don't know?
It
They
looks
don't
like
know.
there's no sun on that little,
Oh, well, you know, the
Saturday.
march must go on. Just bring a lot
the
of
march must go.
Just bring it.
Bring a
Bring
lot
an
of damn
umbrella.
umbrellas, man.
Yeah, bring some umbrellas.
Maybe it's a metaphor for the
Justice,
day. We're crying.
Justice waits
We're
for
crying
nothing.
out for justice.
That's right. Justice waits for nothing.
Exactly.
Look at that. We are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on the list. Watch us climb.
Yes.
Watch us climb.
We're going to try
Watch
on the
us
top
climb.
10 right here. This is Casey Kasem for...
Ooh.
Well, I want to hear
America's Top
Casey
10.
Kasem use a curse word.
Go
No,
fuck
no, no.
yourself. This is the top 10 countdown. Go fuck yourself with Casey Kasem.
Hey, Great
We already
Beard.
went to number 8 right there.
Ah, see, I told you we're climbing. Just off the word fuck, we climbed.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what?
You.
You know what
On a roll
sucks?
with a...
You know what sucks?
with the
Ed's still reeling about the making fool of himself in Jackie's play. Poor baby. She came up.
Oh,
What
he did
time
the
did
show
she come
yesterday?
here? She came like 9:30 at night.
Well, wait a second. No. I'm supposed to get the thing on like Saturday or Sunday. I don't get it till Tuesday.
So the show was already last night?
No, it's
Tonight.
It's
Tonight.
tonight.
What happened last
He
night?
does his debut tonight.
We
Oh, hell.
rehearsed.
Oh,
And
hell.
it's,
I felt
it's
like
dim,
going just
it's
so that
dark.
we can make
I can't read this. I can't see shit. You know how dark it is in there.
Right.
Oh, my Lord.
I think I'm gonna have a heart
Good
attack.
morning, Edward Mampa.
Yes, let's greet the chatters.
Yes, good morning, as is it. Good morning, Irv's brother, Edward Mampa, Graybeard Shaman, Ellen Macon, and LWR Ventures. How are you?
AKA Lowell Register. Damn,
Yeah.
Lowell Registers. Glad to see that you really like to see what we're doing over here.
It's
on the,
LWR Ventures.
That's right, Lowell Wilson Register.
Register. Ventures out of his box.
And ends up on the morning roast.
Yeah.
Because he's scoping us out because he might replace those other nitwits with us. Wishful thinking.
Anyway,
Wishful thinking.
he says, I'm not a register, silly.
I know, but if you don't mind, LWR, I'm going to call you that because it just fits our show.
Welcome, Harry Beavers, on again.
I always like to see when a hairy beaver returns.
Yeah.
Man, we got lots of news, boy. You know what? When
So
it rains, it pours.
Yes.
Did you hear about who's in tax trouble around here?
Yeah.
Did you or no?
Oh, what? Wait, say again?
Did you hear about? We'll go right into local news. Did you hear about who is in tax trouble around here?
Oh, no.
Let me tell you.
We were talking about this. Is this the same story?
This is related.
Related.
Related, but not the same. It involves the downtown area.
Okay.
From the Telegraph.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Local news. Macon restaurateur faces past due taxes and penalties from prior business deals.
I'm loving this show already.
Cesare Mamarella owes
Get at it.
nearly $100,000 in delinquent taxes and
love it.
penalties,
Wow.
according to legal documents. The big chunk is $70,468 penalty for not sending the IRS quarterly payments of taxes withheld from employees for the last 2 quarters of 2010 and the first quarter of 2011.
Great.
Wow, that's a big fish right
Great
there.
Googa Mugga.
Let me tell you something now. The employees worked at 2 businesses that he co-owned in Atlanta. One of them is named Fever Nightclub. That place was around when Heather and I and the kids lived in Decatur. He had that place in Atlanta. He was in business with a couple other guys, and apparently it went downhill. He also owes nearly $25,000 in delinquent real estate taxes for property he owns on Plum Street in Macon, Georgia.
Which is
The old Dirty
the
Iguana.
asylum.
Well, at the time it was Dirty Iguana.
And
That's
it was
where
the
he
asylum?
owes. And now it's Asylum.
I was wondering why it hasn't been open in a while.
Well, it says some of his financial troubles are due to bad business partners at Solid Ventures Incorporated. And as I stated earlier, the Dirty Iguana is the club on Plum Street. It had later changed its name to Asylum.
Isn't that funny? Dolce Vita just closed.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that has something to do with it. He saw it coming.
Well, he knew it. He apparently already knew it because this was something he was aware of, and the way I understand it, it only is out to the public now because either somebody blew the whistle on him and told the Telegraph,
Yep.
or the Telegraph dug into it themselves.
Wow.
Well, they may have called the Telegraph, and then the Telegraph investigated.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna name names. This is a common thing with some of these downtown businesses, and I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot of businesses downtown that are doing this.
Wow.
Gray Beard says bad business partners, as in the mob.
Well, that's been said around here, Graybeard. They've said that around here for years.
Yeah. Well, the family does come from Italy,
They
the
did
father
question
and the
whether
mother.
he was connected to the mob. But
Well, how do you
anyway,
think that's going to affect his business now that he owns one particular spot that is almost like what do you call it? One of those downtown where Little Richard performed
TikTok
the
room.
TikTok
Yeah,
room.
he owns the TikTok room.
Landmark.
He owns Barefoot Tavern.
The Landmark, right?
He owns Ginger, the new place.
That's
Ginger,
correct.
And Cashmere, which is above it.
He owned Dolce Vita, but
Which
they closed.
He claims he's going to turn it into a place called Circa.
Right.
But now that might not happen if he's owing. The story goes on to say that he has apparently struck a deal with the IRS to pay this stuff off monthly. Which then brings the next question, which, hit me right away. Are they giving this guy a little bit of leniency? Let me say this
Leniency.
Leniency.
Even I can say that.
Because he is such a player in the downtown district.
Yes.
If this was you or me, would we be getting the chance to be paying this off
No.
monthly?
No. We wind up like Lauryn
Shit would be
Hill.
locked up.
Yeah.
The doors would be locked.
Yeah.
Right? The doors would be locked with chains and padlocks, and we would be out of business.
Definitely.
If they did that to him, look how many businesses would close downtown. We just named them.
Yeah.
TikTok, Barefoot Tavern,
Tavern,
Ginger, Cashmere, and then that one that he was going to
Asylum.
turn into. Well, he
Five.
said Asylum's already closed, he noticed.
Yeah.
Didn't you say
Yeah,
you noticed
yeah,
that?
I haven't seen anyone
So
come in there.
he quietly closed that one in the middle of the night or something, I guess.
Well, that was the place where he used to hang out with the boys, That was a place that he can unwind.
Yeah, I've only been there like I've only been there like maybe twice. I wish I would have went there more because it seemed like that was the place where most of my old coworkers went to after that, because it was like right down the street from the station.
Yeah, well, my brother says the IRS does it for me. IRS just wants money, Ellen Macon. As long as you have the means to pay, this is great, Beard. They just want your money.
Of course.
And if you have no money, then yes, you get locked up.
But that's, I don't know. I don't
know either.
I think, Graybeard, it does have to do with who you are and how much of an impact. I mean, think about it. It seems almost like the world is crumbling down around this administration and mayor. And I'm not saying that he's connected to the mayor directly, but if you think about it, the mayor's big plan, the mayor's big talk for the past few years of his administration is, I got to get this Second Street plan going.
Which Salmonella was one of the guys that
So
that opened up Ginger
on Second Street.
And
this makes me think this. The Sammy Davis Jr. shooting hits, which puts a big misstep in the mayor's stride. Now this happens, which granted it doesn't have a direct connection with the mayor, but if they had done what a lot of times they would have done, which is shut these businesses down until they were completely paid off, a lot of times the IRS, they don't allow you to pay it off in increments. It's either you pay it off in a lump sum, especially if you're holding property and businesses. It's kind of like Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
What happens in Monopoly? If you start owing money, you have to start mortgaging your property.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So why the hell isn't he having to do that? Because they know that if those business he owns goes down and shuts their doors, imagine how downtown will completely just...
it would be dead. You would lose 4 now, because one of them is already closed, right? Mm-hmm. Asylum, nothing happening there.
Well, and Dolce Vita's closed.
And Dolce Vita.
That's right.
Dolce Vita was my favorite restaurant in downtown Macon. They weren't a full Italian restaurant. Like, they didn't serve spaghetti and ravioli and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it started as a pizza shop. But now you have Doughboy that came around. You had Central Park Pizza that went under. Then Doughboy came.
Doughboy took
and
over.
Doughboy is doing pretty good. That guy is doing pretty good. He's a good businessman.
If I have some more money, I may have to come back there. That was
he's going to make more money now that Dolce Vita's closed.
Right.
And
you mean he's thinking about purchasing that property, or?
No.
You see, the thing is, he doesn't own any of the properties. He rents out.
You mean like less competition?
Okay.
Yeah, right. And he rents out. He doesn't own any of the properties.
Right.
He rents out all those properties that you see there. And but in one property, which he did, which is the Ginger property, he has the bar upstairs, Cashmere, that he just opened up like 3-4 months ago.
Right.
And this is freaky. I mean, here's the thing.
This guy connected with the mob?
Well, people have always said that around here. There's never proof of it, but there's always been the talk of it.
Well, there's got to be some money being funneled. That guy puts up businesses like changing his underwear. And then he changes them over. If you remember, Barefoot Tavern used to be what?
What?
It used to be called not Dolce,
Luigi's. Luigi's, which was named after his father.
Right.
Oh. Okay.
And his father and mother, we spoke. We used to talk all the time. His father and mother told me that they didn't want him to close that restaurant, that they were very upset that he had closed that restaurant. So he was doing stuff that even his own parents weren't too happy about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And him owing taxes doesn't surprise me.
Coffee guy, and I know you know about this because you run a tax business. But the reason I say what I say, and I'm willing to be corrected from you, both you and Ellen Macon. But the reason I say what I say is because I know of many cases where the businesses did shut down. They locked up their door. Giambroni's Pizza, the one I just talked about on here a couple days ago, Giambroni's Pizza, which is where Molly's now is.
Dun, 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 dun.
And Giambroni's Pizza, that place, I showed up there one day to go eat, and their doors were chained up with about 5 or 6 papers taped to the door saying that this is why they were closed and it had to do with taxes.
Wow.
And so how do you explain that other than you're going to say, well, maybe the guy couldn't afford to pay him, so they shut him down. But my thing is that he had the same, Ron Giambroni had the same thing said about him. There was people around here around that time period saying that Giambroni was connected to the mob. I never forget that. He always thought it was funny. And
Well, every
laughed it off.
Italian is accused
Well,
of
Giambroni
being-
was a good friend of mine.
I'm glad that people know I'm Puerto Rican. If not, they'll think I'm a mob.
Yeah, but there's Puerto Rican mobsters too.
Yeah,
there were. But Giambroni was a good friend of mine. He hung out. He went to parties with me and stuff. He came to some of our house parties when we lived on College Street. So I knew him a lot better than I know Cesare Marmarella. But Giambroni, they didn't give him a chance. Bam, they padlocked his door like that.
Well, they didn't do that with this guy, and they're going to give him a break because he's got a lot of sources to which he can pull money out, like it was said before.
Yeah.
They want to see that you have the means to pay. And basically, it's like having a mortgage now.
Yeah.
He has to pay it.
Yeah, the coffee guy says if you avoid them, they will shut you down. That may be the state of Georgia's sales tax or different animals. Says when you make a sale and collect state tax, that is your money. That is not your money. That is their money.
Right.
Yeah. LW Venture says, but shutdown will be counterproductive. How much taxable income will be lost?
That's my
if
point.
Shut down.
That's my point. It's more of a detriment to what they're trying to do with Macon.
I'm sure Mike Ford was involved in this in some kind of.
Macon, Georgia is struggling to get on its feet, and downtown is the center point of what they're trying to get on its feet. And I understand that because I always thought downtown was the best part of Macon.
Right, I always said that when I got here. I was fighting for the revitalization.
Right.
I was like, why are we suburbanizing when we're an urban city?
Right.
Basically.
But do you think, and this is hypothetical, do you think they would have treated, let's say, for example, Nick and Mike the same way, owners of Roasted? Say Nick and Mike, his dad, had problems with their business and they had problems with taxes. Do you think they would treat them the same way? Here we go, first call.
All righty.
And that, by the way, I didn't put a movie up because our computer's down.
Hello.
Morning,
Rose.
Morning, Rose. This is the coffee guy.
Coffee guy. What's
Coffee
going
guy.
on,
How's it
buddy?
going?
I'm going to pull a little Johnny Curry on you here.
Wow.
You're better looking.
False information, okay? When you see those padlocks on the front of the door to close down the business, it's usually because of Georgia state sales tax. And let me give you an example. You sell something for $1, you collect 7 cents of that in tax. So that's never really the business's money, but you collect it for the state of Georgia.
Right.
And depending on how you're filing, you should submit that to them on a monthly basis. So what happens a lot of times with these restaurants is they begin to use the money that they collect for sales tax to operate their business, and that's when they get in trouble.
Good point.
Mm.
Good to know I have somebody related to me that knows all about taxes.
Yeah, really.
Well,
That's why your ass was out of jail, 'cause you're
anytime
painless.
Anytime you put that in the hands of a business owner or an individual, the temptation is to say, well, I'll pay it back next month. The next thing you know, 3 years have gone by.
It snowballs, right?
Probably what happened to Giambroni, because as a small business owner, you're trying to make your hustle here and there to try to make it, and it's just easy. It's an easy temptation. So I can see where that happens. I've seen it happen in Athens, even some long-standing restaurants, because it's such a cyclical business here. You have some slow summers and slow Christmas holidays. The next thing you know, they're in a bind, and they're just trying to keep their head above water.
Yeah, having a restaurant business is not an easy business at all. You have to be concerned. Your refrigeration has to be right. The ambiance of the place has to be right. The service has to be right. And you got to pay taxes.
Good, yeah. Food has
I mean, it really is a really, really hard business
to
run.
good cooks on there.
I think he got somewhat sloppy because he's just got too many. That's what happened with me in New York. I had almost 5 dry cleaners at one time. And the service and the quality of the work went downhill. When I had one store, I was doing great. I was doing $18,000 a week, okay, in one store in Yonkers, okay? But as soon as I started opening up in Thornwood, and then I opened up one in Queens, and I kept going and taking off, it destroyed everything that I had started building from the one store. So there's no way of keeping up with all that bookkeeping. You got to pay somebody a lot of money, you know. And I don't think Caesar had a good CPA either. Obviously, he's got tax problems, so somebody dropped the ball. Am I right?
Yeah.
Well,
Now, we've got other businesses, by the way, Coffee Guy, that we know about that we're not going to talk about, but there are other businesses doing this as well in downtown. This isn't the only one.
Go ahead, Mike.
You know, this country was founded on people not wanting to deal with taxation.
Right.
And
Yes.
you know, I think it's a long-standing issue, and you know, personally, I think we would be more successful if we had some sort of flat tax. You would cut out a lot of the bureaucracy. If you just based it on sales, and you could somehow do a national sales tax, I think the collection, you know, would be better. There would be a better rate. People would have a better handle on it. If you look back into the Constitution, the income tax was never meant to be a long-term situation, and that's exactly what it's become. So, you know, don't get me off on that tangent. Sure, there's a tax industry to be supported, but if you ever look at the IRS tax code, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, as far as bureaucracy and red tape, the tax code, people that have been in the industry for years don't understand it, and then they change it every year. So, good point. I'll keep on listening, but I'm going to sign off. Thanks.
All right, Michael. Thank you, Coffee Guy. Look, Coffee Guy, you're our first caller, so next time you come visit in Macon or I come up to Athens, I'll give you a movie. I was unable to put the... Go ahead and turn the phone off, Reverend. I was unable to put the movie online because yesterday something happened to our computer at home. I got to get that fixed. So he hung up. He said he'll get off. And
Bye, Coffee Guy.
But yeah, so you're our first caller. You get a movie. I'll give you a movie when you come see us.
Yeah, he says, I like this guy. He sounds like Mr. Rogers. That's actually
my brother,
Anthony's
Edward.
brother.
And he
Edward.
knows what he's talking about because he has a tax business called Athens Tax Service. He's been doing our taxes.
What is it? After tax?
Athens.
Oh,
Athens.
Athens.
Tax. He's been doing our taxes for a few years. Heather and mine every year.
Edward
So-
says he knows. Yes, he does. He has a business.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a good call. I'm glad he was listening from the get-go of the show because
From
this
the
is
get-go.
our first story.
By the way, I want to say hello to Ashley34. Welcome. Saibuki's on, of course. And
What's up, Saibuki,
Blue
our
Nose-
British
Blue Nose,
friend?
yes.
British friend Saibuki knows all about this tax.
Hello.
Edward
Hello.
Napa,
Oh,
Grey
you know,
Beard,
they're trying to call
Winchester.
Prince Harry Dirty Harry. What is that all about?
Well, I guess because he doesn't
Stupid.
play the pure game.
He's got a big gun.
He does everything. Yeah, he's got a big gun.
Every man got to know his limitations.
You gotta ask yourself.
Blue Note says Mr. Rogers
Do
is
I
cool.
feel
They're calling
horrible?
him Mr. Rogers.
Do you, punk?
Mr. Rogers was everybody's idol, Edward. Hell, if you grew up in that generation, man, Mr. Rogers was all of our idol.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mr. Rogers, I heard they're working on a movie about him. His life.
Really?
I heard I saw that somewhere a couple days ago. They're working on a biopic.
Who
about-
can play Mr.
I don't
Rogers?
know, but I hope they don't get somebody like Jim Carrey or.
I
some
can't
shit.
believe you said that.
Because
That's exactly what I was talking about.
I knew you would. But
I
that's
swear
horrible.
to
That's
God,
a-
that's
he
what I
did-
thought.
That's a horrible choice.
Actually, Jim
Yeah.
Carrey did a sketch
I know,
of
but
Mr.
that's a
Rogers.
horrible choice. No,
I hope they do Mr. Robinson because that was really good.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy. That's
Yeah,
how it
Eddie
is in
Murphy.
my neighborhood. It's
A
my
black
neighborhood.
Mr.
Who
Rogers.
is it?
No, Mr. Rogers. You know what? It's best that they probably get an unknown. You know, I could see him getting that one guy, Sam Rockwell or Rothwell. You know that actor, Sam.
I have no
yeah.
clue.
I could kind of see
Is he
that.
on one of those soap operas? Who the
No,
hell is
he
that?
was
in the
in
Green Mile and Iron Man
Yeah,
too.
and he was in that movie about Chuck Barris from The Gong Show. He
Okay.
played
Okay.
Chuck Barris in that. He was in Choke, based on the book by Chuck Palahniuk. He was in the movie version of Choke. But I don't know. I could see them getting somebody like him. I don't know. It's just.
Now, my brother said, your brother's very well educated, Ed, so tell me what happened.
Well,
Actually, he's
Edward,
got a lot
Edward,
under his belt. You don't know
Edward.
him very well.
Edward, I'm the youngest, so by that point, it just like they kind of blew all those good genes at that point.
No, that's not true. I don't know if you
There
know
weren't
about
many-
Ant, but Ant has a
there weren't
great
many.
history in making producer,
I
director,
don't know about all that. I
writer,
don't know about
actor,
Trying to be
Author.
author. He's done a lot of shit.
stripper. I used to strip. Art model.
Protester, heckler.
Troublemaker,
kind.
Anyway.
all around schizophrenic guy.
Yeah,
I make Sybil look like a damn
like Sybil.
serious person.
Make a low key.
Sybil look like Sybil. Anyway, so
Hey, that's my civil rights.
well, yeah. He says you drink good coffee. This coffee guy, you can
That's right.
ramble about anything.
That's true.
Except one thing, coffee guy. He doesn't drink coffee.
I do. I
Wow.
do occasionally. I
Yeah.
do occasionally. You know when I come in here with coffee, you know I've had 3 or 4 cups of coffee. Some of those shows, you can tell I'm coffeeed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think that, Ed, but usually the brother of one of the hosts never supports the brother who's the host. He says, I know her, he is what makes the morning roast. No offense. Of course, you're sick and tired of looking at me
That's
all my
right.
life.
We got some brotherly non-love going on.
I know,
here.
it always happens.
All right.
That's just how it runs in my family.
But anyway, so you know, okay, guys, I will concede to your knowledge that okay, they just want his money and they'll let him stay open. But I really like to think that you know,
Do you I
If they-
secretly want him to shut down?
do I want him to? No,
No.
I want him to be able. I want him to be able to play the same rules that everybody else has to play. I don't like people that like get away with stuff and others don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of their so-called pull. I don't like that. You know, you're talking to a guy who really doesn't believe in the tax system either. So of course I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I'm all about taxes. Tax that motherfucker. Of course I'm not. You know, I mean, like my brother said, the tax system is completely shit. I think it's even more shit than what he said. But the thing about it is, of course, I don't want the guy to shut down because
No,
I want
nobody wants it.
I want downtown to thrive.
Yeah,
I do
want it
like
to thrive.
downtown.
Yeah.
Like,
what
you
I
either
don't
want
like-
to grow or die. You
What
know?
I don't like about it is I don't like the people that are in charge picking and choosing who thrives. That's what pisses me off about it.
Yeah.
You have like Newtown and these groups that just choose and pick who they want to give money to and help thrive.
And by the way, they don't pay taxes.
And they don't. 'cause
They're all
non-
501s.
nonprofit, right? So that's what gets on my nerves because you have people like our friend Jackie who gets no support whatsoever, right? From
Yeah.
these city groups. But
Jackie-
then you have all these other groups that they really are buddy with, like busting their ass to make sure these people stay afloat.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about it. I
Well,
don't like
Coffee
this
Guy says,
system.
keep in mind that by the time you see a closed padlock door with a sign saying taxes owed,
Yeah.
the business has received multiple letters
Right.
and notices.
Yeah.
That may be true, but I'm a little bit concerned with how, you know, now taxes and all that was such a big issue that I think they're going at a little bit faster speed. I don't think they're just sitting back like they used to in the old days. I may be wrong,
Right.
but we've only gone through one real tax season since that new tax law was passed where everybody gets, you know, doesn't pay tax or whatever. And we don't know what's attached to that gigantic new bill, I guess you would call it, tax bill, and how quickly they move.
Right.
I mean, it could have been, maybe it's it could have been that they did 3 or 4 letters. Now they may just do 1 or 2.
Right.
Or 2 at least. Do you know anything about that coffee guy?
State of Georgia.
Yeah, the state of Georgia picked up their pace. I know, especially a Republican-led state.
Right.
And so that's who I'm really talking about. The Republicans are not going to let. They bitch and moan about taxes and raising tithes, but they love collecting them.
Right. Chime in, Derek. What the hell do you think about all this?
It's a sad situation.
Here
It's a
he
sad
goes.
situation. I mean, I want
It's a wing
downtown.
dang dinger.
I wanted to flourish also. I mean, no one shouldn't even have to have to close up a certain business because I mean they wanted to flourish, right? They can't flourish unless it's open. So I mean, especially Miss Jacqueline Akins, which we appreciate very much for having our show on there because especially
What I hear is one example of what I was saying. We've heard through the grapevine. We're not going to tell our sources that there on 2nd Street is a business that's been trying to open up now for almost a year.
Yeah,
Irvin?
we're talking
the
Shadow?
Country West. No, the Country Western.
Oh
Bar.
yeah, that.
Okay, there's a Country Western bar that's supposed to open up kind of next to the SunTrust building on 2nd Street. This guy's been trying to have this place open almost for a year now. He had the money to open it. He was remodeling it. He was renovating the inside. Blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, he stopped work on it because he ran out of money. Well, then we find out Newtown Macon slips him some money, and this is only what we've heard, and lets him continue to work on his building. And then we hear the guy runs out of that money. And then what we hear is that Newtown then supplies, I can't remember who it was, but somebody connected with Newtown then in a way becomes partner. And again, this is all hearsay, so take it as you will. Look it up for yourself. Make your own decisions on this.
There's a lot of gossip that goes on in this town, so eventually it hits everybody's ears.
Right.
So Anthony's probably about 50% right,
Right.
if not a little more.
Right.
Because it usually pans out.
So basically then what we heard is that the guy that's opening this bar is now kind of partnered with this other guy, and the guy that he's partnered with happens to be connected to Newtown Macon.
Right.
Right? So still we don't have this country bar open. This is supposed to be the first country bar downtown that's going to have on a regular basis a mechanical bull. Other places have ordered these mechanical bulls and had their special nights in which you can ride the bull. But this place is supposed to have a mechanical bull, and it's supposed to open up right kind of across from Roasted.
Yeah.
And so the place still is not open. It's still not finished.
But remember, Coffee Guy says give him the benefit of the doubt. Renovations are not cheap. And I want you to know that what happened here was this building belonged to Newtown. The guy supposedly somewhat borrowed it from Newtown. Newtown said just do something with it. And the guy finds out later on that the whole roof of this place had to be replaced.
Oh, yeah, it was a big
and
mess.
that's where he ran out of money. He had to replace the whole roof. Now Newtown has to come back and invest money on fixing their own property that belongs to Newtown. Just like Ginger belongs to Newtown. Just like the building over at where Dolce Vita, that belongs to Newtown. And so Newtown is the one that provides the space because they buy up all the buildings with their 501, don't pay basically any real tax on the buildings, and it's the person who rents out the space that it becomes responsible with the rent, of course, to pay some of the taxes. And so that's just how it works around here.
Well, see, I wonder what would happen if I went to Newtown and said, look, I want to speak to you guys on one of your weekly meetings. And I went there and said, look, I want to open a store downtown. You have a bunch of empty buildings. How about you guys help foot my bill for me to get me started? How do you think they would act if I said that?
They'd kick you out.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't want to hear anything
Say,
I had
Anthony?
to say, right?
No, what they would want is a long-winded proposal.
Okay, let's say I did that. Say I wrote up say I got my brother, the coffee guy, who's more of a sort of like clerical
Well,
guy
he's
than
got
I
good
am.
credit. I'm sure.
Well, I don't have bad credit either. I don't have
Okay.
any-
You don't have any
I don't have
credit.
any credit, which
Well,
is just as bad as bad
that's
credit.
just as bad
That's
as
right.
not
But I've got no credit.
having bad credit.
I've got no credit.
Well,
But,
and that's as bad as bad credit.
Right.
But
But if I did write up a very nice proposal I think that they would still turn me down. And that's what I'm saying. It's
They
a
would want a business
select.
plan.
It's a pick and choose who you want to be associated with kind of thing. It's a favoritism kind of thing. And it's a nepotism kind of thing, maybe in a way also.
Yeah,
And that's what
I
I don't
agree.
like about the downtown scene.
Yeah,
That
they're
is
very
what I
cliquish.
don't like. I don't like that they're giving certain people pass after pass after pass, and then they won't give anybody else the time. and
Well, I will give you this. I will say this and I would even go as far as saying it's a fact that even if you had all your ducks in a row, good credit, good business plan proposal, and all that,
Great idea.
something that will win, they wouldn't allow you to because they don't like you.
Right.
I mean, that's the way this town works. If they don't like you, they ostracize you. You become the leper in the community.
Right.
And somehow, they always say hello to you anyway. Hi. And then turn around and go, you lousy nutcase.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't want to be seen in public with them.
Because they're not kind.
They're not kind.
The cover guy says they would want the business plan. They would choose you if you wore your Rickard Sutton t-shirt.
Which I will be wearing tomorrow. On our march.
Yes.
I will be wearing that tomorrow.
Exciting. I only wore mine once, so
I'm
it's
wearing mine
nice
tomorrow.
and
Even if it
clean.
rains, we'll be marching. I'll take some umbrellas.
Mine looks more like a dress.
The march must go on.
It's 50. It's 60 degrees. Excuse me, 60 degrees right
Man,
outside.
it's going to be beautiful today.
With a high of 83 and a low of 63. It's 60 and sunny.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I guess
Well-
we're going to have to get plastic bags and walk around with them.
No, I think if everybody just brings an umbrella.
Yeah, definitely have your
it'll be
umbrella
good.
ready, handy.
It'll be good. It'll be fun.
Well, speaking of a downpour, I do have some local news.
Yeah, let's keep this
That's
local.
good.
And we'll continue. If you guys want to return to this tax talk, we don't have a problem going back to it because this is sort of breaking news for Macon, Georgia.
Yeah, let's
that
do
this
that.
guy's having tax problems.
Speaking
But let's
of
get
some
to
breaking
this one
news,
because
yeah,
this
right
is
here.
also breaking about something we talked about.
Yes, a
last
Hawkinsville teen charged with murdering student. Let's see. Robert, Hawkinsville teenager, is charged with murdering Jamal Keys.
You didn't say his full name.
I'm sorry,
You
Robert.
just said Robert.
Excuse me, Robert. Robert Kane Rawlinson, age 17,
go.
has been arrested for the murder of Jamal Keys.
Wow.
Keys has been missing since April 25th from the MGSC Cochran campus. His body has not yet been found. Rawlinson was enrolled in classes in high school and at MGSC. A school news release said that 17-year-old Robert Kane Rawlinson has been arrested Thursday night and is now in the Bleckley County Jail. The release does not describe the killing or the motive. It calls Rawlinson a dual-enrolled high school/middle Georgia State student. Keys, a 19-year-old freshman, disappeared 2 weeks ago from campus. Sean Douglas, campus police chief, also declined to describe the death further. In a phone conversation, he told 13 WMAZ that Jamal Keys' body has not yet been found.
Wow. And this is a follow-up to that kid that we were talking
Yeah,
about.
Yes,
I remember
yes.
yesterday, and we also have a follow-up to the 71-year-old man. They found his body, too.
Oh,
Yes.
they
And
did?
it's exactly what we said.
Oh, it was.
In the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that in a minute. David Mann, they found his body yesterday also.
Wow.
But anyway, so Key, yeah, this is the guy we talked about yesterday.
Wow.
That was not very fitting. That wasn't very fitting for the topic either. It was like,
I
hey, some
know,
jumping,
right?
uppy music while this guy's dead.
You never jump on him. Jump on me.
We do. I always jump
Yeah.
on Derek.
Yeah, this you jump on.
I jump on Derek's
Jump on
talking
him.
all the
Jump
time.
on him.
Yeah.
Ah! But we jump on you because you
Because
always know
you
everything.
deserve it.
No, you always know everything. Derek doesn't claim to know
Yes,
everything.
yes.
Hit the truth. You finally
Derek,
admitted the truth.
Dad always claims he
Yes.
knows everything. Derek doesn't claim to know everything.
That's true. I don't
They
know
know
that
everything.
much about calculus. That's why I dropped it.
Anyway, back to the story.
Yes, and Douglas said that Keys and Rawlinson were apparently knew each other as campus classmates, but the relationship beyond that is unclear. He said that investigators did not find any calls between the two on their cell phones. He said they're still investigating the case and have a long road ahead. Douglas hopes to have more information to release within a few days.
Okay.
All right, now, wait a minute. What they have no evidence of any
That's
kind
what
of
I was
interaction.
gonna ask.
They have nothing to go. Why the hell did they pick this kid all of a sudden? Did he confess?
That's what I was wondering because they didn't tell us anything that said that this guy showed he
This
did
story is very.
it. They said there's no motive.
Very
They didn't
vague.
find out how he did it. There's no body. I mean, unless the kid just walked up to the
they just
station
pick
and goes,
somebody?
I did it.
Did
Unless
they
the
just
kid
pick
just went up
somebody,
and said, "I
eeny,
did
meeny,
it."
miny, mo?
I mean, unless the
No, they
kid...
put it in a lineup with a donkey.
Or goat.
Goat. The goat.
Yeah.
Don't be snitching.
Well,
on
I mean,
on a
Well,
plate.
I don't know.
It sounds like the
goat.
goat did it.
It was
They
a goat,
obviously know something, I guess. Because it's really
him, and
bad.
another bunch of black guys.
It's really bad if they arrest someone without any kind of cause, because then that's when
Exactly.
lawsuits come.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have something. I mean, maybe somebody else turned them in. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Yes.
Well, a coffee guy says in this day and age with cameras everywhere, well, maybe they caught him on camera? Is that what you're saying? But they
Maybe.
didn't say that in the story
No, they
either.
didn't say it in the story. Well, according to the school statement, MGSC interim president John Black said late last night, "We're absolutely devastated by this news. There are just no words to describe how deeply hurt we are and how terrible we feel for Jamal's family. I wish to convey my heartfelt condolences to everyone in his family and everyone who knew Jamal. We ask everyone in the Middle Georgia community to keep this family in their thoughts and prayers in the days and weeks to come. We will cooperate in every way to help law enforcement authorities complete their investigation."
All right, well, that's what the college is going to say, so they wipe their hands clean of any fault.
Right.
You know, we were talking about what about security? What role did they play in terms of not intervening if these two boys were fighting? The counselors, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people. So I take that with a grain of salt. Of course they're going to say that. Oh, we feel so bad about the family. Well, what the hell was your role, if any?
Right.
You know? And so, I don't know. The coffee guy says, and with cell phone tracking, well, they probably found that kid's body by tracking, no?
Well, no, he means probably the last few calls with Jamal was with this suspect.
I see.
And maybe what it is, the records probably show that the only person he talked to up to his disappearance was this kid, this
Right.
suspect. And
But he
maybe-
was charged.
Right, and so maybe what they think is that maybe the records show that they called and somehow they got I don't know if they're able to get the actual conversation off the phone, but maybe they got to something that said, "Hey, you want to meet me at blah, blah, blah," and then they met somewhere and they know he's the last guy that was with them. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Well,
But again, they have to have something if they're gonna go after that kid.
right, and they're going to charge him.
In related news, we talked about the 71-year-old man, David.
Yeah,
Mann,
what happened with
two
him?
ends. He is the gentleman that left the hospital a few days ago, the doctor's office with his wife. They were in separate cars. They lived on Lee Road off of Riverside. As they were driving home in separate cars, the wife turned off onto Lee Road to go home, and she noticed her husband continued to go down Riverside towards the downtown area. She reported him missing. We were following this story on this show the past few days. Well, last night they announced that they found his body. It sounds kind of like what we were saying and speculating on, that he went to the cemetery, which they said he did. He went to Riverside Cemetery. First, his clothes were found. His clothes were off his body. Some form of his clothes. I don't know if all of them were. They found his clothes first, and then when they went further into the woods to search, they found his body in the woods.
Wow.
Back there between the cemetery and the river. So there you go. Our thoughts are going.
Here it is. It's an update. Social media insight on Hawkinsville teen accused of killing missing college student. So it was something either on Facebook. That makes sense. Twitter.
MySpace, if anybody uses that
MySpace,
anymore.
Dig. We're giving props to these sites. But who knows?
So what do you
the
mean?
plot thickens.
So you mean the kid was stupid enough to go run his mouth on Facebook, probably?
But, well, maybe they were having an argument on Facebook.
Or on
Maybe so.
Yeah. Social media. Well, and I figured out how to do this where I can get the story. I can cheat.
All right.
It says Hawkinsville 17-year-old. Hold on.
Why don't you close that? There's an X for you to close that thing.
No,
Okay.
but then it goes back to the beginning of the page. The Hawkinsville 17-year-old is charged with murder and the death of middle Georgia State student who has been missing
since April 25th.
Okay, here's the juicy part. Here's the juicy part. Investigators believed he killed the 19-year-old Jamal, Middle Georgia freshman who lived in Concord.
Keys.
Jamal Keys. Yeah.
Jamal.
Keys.
Jamal.
So how did he kill him? That's the part you can't see that's covered up.
Yeah, I know. I move it down and it exposes it. Middle Georgia freshman who lived in Concord and was reported missing. All right, we said that. It still doesn't give a motive though.
We're losing viewers.
And then he goes into
We'll figure
heartfelt
it out.
condolences.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, on Facebook, wait a minute here. On Facebook, Robert states he's single, interested in women, and his religious views are agnostic, which is defined as a person who claims neither faith nor believe in God. One who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence of nature or God or anything beyond material phenomena. So that may have been a motive. This kid, religious, maybe he's religious and he goes out and kills somebody because
Maybe
they don't
so.
believe in God.
I think it has to be more than that. I mean, you might be right, but
Well, who knows?
Edward Mampus says that sounds like Ant.
Yeah, well, and
No,
professes that
I don't consider myself.
and professes that he is an anarchist.
No,
he doesn't
atheist.
believe in
But
God,
with God,
atheist,
because of
whatever.
atheist.
Yeah.
I
See,
mean,
agnostic is almost kind
a
of
little
like it's almost
different.
it's almost like you're a passive atheist in a way, or
It's like,
indecisive.
it's like you're
I don't
willing-
believe in God, but just in case.
Just in case.
That's your hall pass, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
So when
That's
you
your
die,
hall pass.
Not mine. I'm not agnostic.
No. I'm saying
I'm sure I'll go to my deathbed just saying I didn't believe in God. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm about to find out in about a few minutes here. So I mean, I guess that's what I'll be doing on my deathbed. I mean, but all I can do is try to be a good guy and then hope. Hey,
Exactly.
if I was wrong, that maybe he looks and goes, you know, he didn't believe in me, but he was an all right guy. Okay,
you know
we'll let
what?
him in.
Love does cover. It's scriptural. Love
Yeah.
covers a multitude of
You better
sins.
be glad you got a good attitude, because that'll be your on your deathbed.
You better keep your nose clean, Anthony.
Well, maybe he'll look at all this stuff I'm trying to do against.
Well,
these
by the
cops
way,
that
my
I think
brother's
are-
nervous because he says that the people here in Macon, the powers that be, have really powerful rifles. He says, let me see. He says, Aunt, be careful. Those good old boys have high-power rifles.
Who said that?
My brother.
What's he talking about?
And he says, that's why I worry about Irv. Worry. And then he said, Ed is smart.
Oh, because of my beliefs, Edward? I mean, hell,
No,
believe-
because of,
my loud mouth.
what we're doing. Yeah, I guess.
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on, you can't go around worried about that sort of thing. I mean, if you're doing a show and the idea of your show is to sort of get things out in the open, report the news, try to be as transparent as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we're doing here.
And Edward is so right. Edward, that's exactly what I believe. I know deep inside that Aunt really believes. See, even my brother
Why
said
do you say that? What makes you think I believe?
because you're.
What sign have I shown
Well, if
to
you don't
Irvin?
believe, because you have all the attributes of someone.
Because
with
I keep saying eye for an eye? Is that why you think?
no, eye for an eye is Old Testament anyway.
Right, but is that why?
And
you,
no.
but why do my attributes have to mean that I have to believe in the Bible?
You're-
Can't I have the attributes and
Because-
be an atheist? Can't I have the attributes and be a Buddhist? Can't I have the attributes and be a Satanist? I mean, why do those attributes I have to be mean I believe in Christian law? I don't understand.
Well,
what
you
you're
didn't
saying.
say anything about Muslim either.
No, but I'm not. But Derek, I can sit here and give 800 examples. I'm not going to sit here all day and name
I'll
every
give you.
religion. I
I'll
just
give
gave
you.
three.
I'll give you the power.
My point is,
One of the
what
great
makes you
powers
think-
of God's attributes. How he handles himself and how he relates to us. He talks about it in love. Love is patient. You're pretty patient. God, I mean, you become impatient when they continue to push buttons.
I get better.
Love is kind. You are
Yeah.
being kind.
But you're.
It does not envy.
But you're acting
You don't
like,
envy anybody.
But,
It is not proud.
But
Well,
Irvin-
maybe you miss on that one.
Yeah, I'm a
It
little
is
proud.
not rude. Okay, so maybe you screw up on that one.
Right.
It is not self-seeking. I think that you are more family, right?
yeah, but Irvin,
It keeps no record of
you're,
wrong.
You're naming stuff that could also be attributes to other ideas and beliefs.
Well, I'm
you're
just
acting
saying.
like it's only connected to Christianity and believing in a God.
Yeah.
See, that you're saying things that can just be human nature.
I'm just saying, you're
know,
a good
that's
guy.
fine.
If you were such an anarchist, I guess maybe,
That's what
it's
I'm
been
trying to
instilled
teach.
in us that being an anarchist is being a bad guy.
That's exactly
But
my
it's
point.
not the case. I understand that.
That's exactly my point. That's what I've said on here. Is we are brought up through the school system, through history, that it's bad, it's the devil, and that to me is just another way to basically brainwash.
My brother says he's a good Christian boy, LOL. Yes, he's a closet Christian.
Jews is in the house.
Hey, Jews.
Derek, anything you want to say on this subject?
And Nick and Lynn is here as well.
Do you agree with Irvin?
T.L. Wilson.
Do you think I'm a Christian in disguise?
Well,
Do you think I'm pulling the lamb's wool over everybody's eyes?
or maybe lamb skin, but that's a whole other story.
Well,
but
the saying is
Lamb
but the
skin.
saying is pulling the wool
Lord.
over your eyes, so I had
Yeah.
to say the lamb's wool.
Yeah,
I couldn't say the lamb's skin.
Remember, Paul was not a believer in the beginning. That's
that's
right.
true. Yeah.
Paul was
And remember, my
Good
name's
one,
not
D.
Paul.
No, he's not a beetle. No, he's
No.
not a beetle. Good one, D.
Yeah, Alan Macon says true, and
That's
yes,
right.
he seems like a good guy.
That's what I'm
but
trying to
just
do.
cause someone ain't Christian, they can't still be good, nice people.
That's my point. That's my point. Is that
Yeah.
I'm trying to make people think and know that you know what, you can have different beliefs and still.
Oh,
be a
you're
good
not
person.
Paul either.
No, I'm not.
No.
And then Paul Graybeard said Paul was a tax collector.
No,
I
that was
like this.
Matthew. Matthew was a tax collector.
Maybe Paul
wasn't.
was too. I can't argue.
Anyway,
I don't know.
yeah, well, go, let's say good morning to Yirag. We got T.L. Wilson on. Boy,
up,
we got a
Wilson?
bunch of... Steven is on.
Y'all are showing up after the juicy story. We broke the big. Well, we didn't break it. I actually got it off of a buddy of mine's page this morning. He directed me in that direction.
Yeah, anyone from downtown.
Business
Yirag. Caesar Salmonella or Marinella.
Mamarella in trouble with taxes.
We're in
you're
trouble
out.
with taxes all over the news.
That's been a topic of our first hour or so. That, and then we got into religion here recently. and
Yeah,
we talked
well,
about.
yeah, we changed
We
topics.
talked
like,
about the missing two people missing their bodies were, or their one's body was found, the other
Yes,
one
the
they
senior
think
citizen
was
guy.
murdered.
how much was the amount again? Why don't you give us the amount one more time? It's a lot of money.
It says
He could start another store with that
he
money.
owes nearly $100,000 in delinquent taxes and penalties. The big chunk is $70,468 penalty for not sending the IRS quarterly payments and of taxes withheld for every employee for the last 2 quarters of 2010 and the first quarter of 2011. These employees worked at his 2 businesses in Atlanta. Then he co-owned one of the businesses called Fever Nightclub. But he also owes nearly $25,000 in delinquent real estate taxes for property he owns on Plum Street, which, as you know, Iraq is where Asylum is, and it used to be called the Dirty Iguana.
Well, the restaurant, which restaurant is going away? So far, Dolce Vita has been, so-called going to
down.
be moved, but they don't even have a location for that.
Yeah.
And I think that had something to do with this whole thing.
Well, you know what happened after that? When I walked by there a few days after we saw that it was closed up, you remember there was a sign that says Dolce Vita's moving and coming here soon is Circa. The last time I walked by there, the coming here soon is Circa sign was gone.
I know. And it
Now-
was gone like 2 days later.
Now it just says Dolce Vita's moving to another location. So now maybe the Circa thing's not even going to happen, which means there's another empty business downtown on Cherry Street. Another empty building.
Yeah, that was probably his cash flow, as Coffee Guy says, unpaid taxes. Serious. I believe that.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, well, we heard of some controversy just when you thought you heard the beginning about Jodi Arias' verdict being guilty. The Lifetime Network, at least according from an earlier news source, is basically already filming the Jodi Arias' trial
Oh,
story
brother.
for a Lifetime made-for-TV movie.
And they may take a prettier girl.
Yes,
So that's the actress playing her.
yes, Tanya Raymond, known for her role in Lost, at least in her adult years, and she was most known, or at least first known to people, television viewers, as the little girl Cynthia from the Malcolm in the Middle TV series on Fox.
There is kind of resemblance, though. I mean, there's
Yeah, there
something
is.
about them.
There
It's like
is.
the lips are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the upturn of the nose is kind of the same. She
Well,
kind of looks like
it's going to be the new Psycho.
No.
That's what I
this
see.
thing is on
I mean,
my
she
time. This is
killed
a
him
horrible
in a
life.
tub just like Psycho
Yes.
did to the woman,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Just like Norman
Possibly,
Bates.
yeah.
Norman Bates as mother.
Yes. In the case of Lifetime's TV movie about the Jodi Arias' trial, the headlines are still in the process of being ripped. On Wednesday, an Arizona jury found the 32-year-old guilty of murdering her ex-boyfriend, Travis Alexander. Arias' trial featured plenty of violence and sex, including a lurid phone sex call, nude photos, titillating sexual details. It all adds up to a juicy recipe for a Lifetime movie. The cable network is prepping one starring Tanya Raymond as Arias and Jesse Lee Sofer from The Mob Doctor as Alexander. Lifetime will update the end of the Dirty Little Secret.
I believe it's
movie.
Arias.
Yes, Arias, excuse me.
Isn't it? Arias? Jodi Arias? Okay.
There it is.
Arias.
Well,
sometime the movie will come out, I guess, sometime next year, and basically,
I won't watch it.
I would watch
Actually,
it. I know the
on
story
entertainment-
already.
yeah, we all know the story.
It's like watching the Titanic
Yeah,
again.
and Entertainment Tonight, they actually showed Tanya Raymond and the rest of the cast and crew watching the Jodi Arias trial on television to see how the outcome was going to be. You know, I guess just to get the verdict and stuff.
Well, I guess also to do homework on
By the way, this girl was
Yes,
a real piece of cake when it comes to her personality shifting. They have a film where she didn't even know that the camera was on, and there was a news reporter there, and you should see her all bubbly, and then she started putting like powder on her nose. Oh, I want to make sure that I look good. And she was like, so how was your trip in? And like completely oblivious to what she's now facing. And she was like happy and giddy with the reporter.
Yeah, well.
I mean, a real wacko.
She's probably all about the attention that she's
Yeah.
getting. She's
Well,
all
Ellen
about the
Macon says, I'm
publicity.
glad she was found guilty, and I hope they give her life, not death, as she wants.
Yeah,
Right.
'Cause she's really calm for someone who's going to face the death penalty and walking the Green Mile. Because
Because she doesn't want to live in jail.
She'll be married to the woman with the most cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to live in jail.
She lives in her own head.
But
And she's
yeah.
imagining how
Those-
much
I mean,
torture
look,
that's
Actually,
gonna be.
actually,
They're not going to let you talk, Derek. You
yeah,
know.
actually, on the way on here, there was supposedly a bomb
What's
threat.
wrong with you?
After the
You're interrupting
after
just
the
as
story,
much.
And
It
fuck
had
you,
like a
nobody,
bomb.
man.
Someone
He's
called
talking
in a
to me,
fake
bitch.
bomb
A
threat.
bomb threat here?
No, a bomb threat
too.
of the
Fuck.
Arias' trial.
Oh, was there?
Yes, I guess there was maybe. I guess
They could see me.
I just thought maybe she had anything to do with it. One of her friends did that because that's
Might
why
have
she's
been.
so calm or something. I
have
don't
been.
know.
No,
I think she wants. Yeah, I interrupted you.
Yeah.
But I think she's saying she wants the death penalty, but she really doesn't. She wants a death penalty. She wants everybody.
Psychological warfare.
Right. Yeah. Reverse psychology.
Yeah. No, I think
Interesting.
I think opposite.
See, that's why they pay me the big bucks.
No, I think opposite. I think she wants it. I think she really wants it.
Because it's like, you got me?
No, not only that. It's just. Let's face it. It's really easy nowadays. Everything is easy because we're worried about how someone's gonna feel, and we're kumbaya
Yeah, you're correct.
society, right? The death penalty.
They're still talking about taxes.
No, well, that's the death penalty too. But,
Yeah, because there's taxpayers' money. It costs a lot to kill somebody.
But no, what I'm getting at is this: it's not painful to die anymore when it's done by the state.
Yeah, 'cause it's lethal injection. All you do is just go to sleep.
It's like you're sitting there laying down, you get a little prick in you or whatever, and then and then that's it.
You get a little prick in
That's
you.
right. You get a little prick in you. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? It is,
Why
right?
were you looking at her?
In the old days, look.
While you were looking at her when he was
Look, in the old days, it was kind of painful. Firing squad, hanging.
Hanging.
It wasn't like, oh, we gotta be
2 million
calm.
votes in the election.
Now it's an injection.
Now it's
No,
just,
your eyes used to pop
You get what
out,
I'm
your
saying?
ears used to burn.
you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Now it's just very convenient for everybody
Brain matter,
involved.
blood comes through your nose and stuff.
And she knows
pretty
that what the
bad.
hell?
Yeah.
Just put me to sleep.
I saw
I
Faces
never
of
wake
Death. I've
up
seen it.
again. You know, put me to sleep. Never wake up again.
Well,
I don't have to deal with the hardship of prison and people picking on me and not having anything to do and sitting in these four walls and bored off my ass. Just put me to death. It's like putting me to sleep. I don't feel it, and I never wake up.
Well, Ellen
Yeah.
Macon says exactly she should suffer like Travis did, but that's the problem, Ellen. She's not. They're gonna give her an injection and put her out. Zaibuki says is displays to many psychopathic traits to give two shits what happened to her or what happens to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she is hot looking though, my brother.
I disagree. I don't think she's pretty either. I mean,
She
Granted-
reminds me of Octomom.
Now, granted,
Exactly.
now,
There's something about her
now,
face
the,
I don't
now the
like.
actress who's playing her, she is good looking. Though.
Yeah.
The actress who's playing her.
That's what I mean. They're taking this beautiful actress and making her somehow look like
well,
that
it's
size.
Hollywood. I mean, that's what Hollywood does.
Yeah. Well, she's hot,
Hollywood.
but you know she's
Yeah,
hot.
but so is a Bengal tiger, and you'd be
I mean,
crazy
did
to
you
mess
guys,
with either one of them.
You guys know the story of Catch Me If You Can, right? That movie,
Yeah.
you know, they got Leonardo to play that guy, and you look at the real guy that Leonardo was playing, that guy didn't look like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
that same thing with Crush Groove. I mean, you had Blair
Crush
Underwood playing Russell Simmons. You know, Ron's brother, Run DMC. You know, doggone well.
He doesn't look that good.
Russell Simmons do not look anything like Blair Underwood. Not
That's
even
right.
close.
Yeah.
Not even height or complexion.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood will do it.
Bollywood.
We're number one.
I
Yes.
told you we were climbing, guys. So let's go. We're
Number
beating
one with a bullet.
We're beating Vapor Guy.
We got Brandon.
I like your duck, Steven.
Yes.
No, we got to
Yes.
down a couple
Women-
minutes.
Yeah.
Number one.
Jude has. I had to say some women. It says Jude says women secretly hate that Arias was convicted. They hate that a woman is being held accountable for her actions. Duh. The only reason they're pissed about Casey Anthony is because she called a girl.
I
She
think he
killed
means
a
killed
She
a girl,
killed a
not
girl.
called a girl.
Yeah, they're pissed about Casey Anthony because she killed a girl.
You think so, Jews? That's an interesting aspect of it. You might be right. I don't know if I agree with you.
I'm not sure if this is true, but Beer Sports Cards is our new welcome. And we got Kitten 5533.
That's right.
Wow.
Welcome to the
Welcome,
Morning
welcome.
Roast.
Ashley 34, welcome.
Well, she's been there, or
Oh,
he's been.
okay.
She's been there from the beginning. You
Who?
remember? Ashley.
I know,
mentioned
but she
that.
just got on a little bit ago.
I wonder who Ashley 34 is.
Yeah,
I know a few
Ashleys.
Ashleys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, and also
they're
T.L.
all pretty
Wilson's here.
attractive.
T.L.
Yeah, we said
Wilson
that.
is. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. thank
T.L. Wilson
Well,
is here.
it's 9:04 a.m. It's time for our first break. You're watching the Morning Roast live from the Nut House in adjacent downtown Macon, Georgia, with Aunt Irv, DB, and Ed. We'll see you in a few. We'll be
Don't
right
go
back.
away, guys. We're going to come back. We're going to continue this talk.
I got more stories.
and
I
other
got
stuff.
some international news about the Israelis and the Bedouins.
I also want to
This
try
might
something
get your
new.
ass in a wrinkle.
I also want to try something new on the show. We got something called Strange Facts. It's kind of fun to find out some facts that are there that you may not know about.
All right, let's go to break and get back because Vapor Guy's on our tail. He's going
Oh,
for our
yes.
spot.
And I wanted to thank Edward Mampa for sending me this old home video for Irving.
Oh my
Oh,
God!
you got an old home video?
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Mm.
Morning Roast.
I know I'm not
FunLive.tv.
doing anything bad, am I? I was just a baby.
That's it, actually. Smelling his phone.
Because they don't freaking get this crap. If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a freaking packet, yo. There's kids in here who don't learn like that. They need to learn face to face. Or you're just getting mad because I'm pointing out the obvious and you're too late. No, I'm not wasting your time. I'm telling you what you need to do.
Get out.
You want kids to come into class, you want them to get excited for this, You gotta come in here, you gotta make them excited. You want a kid to change and start doing better? You gotta touch his freaking heart. Can't expect a kid to change if all you do is just tell him. You gotta take this job serious. This is the future of this nation. And when you come in here, like you did last time, and make a statement about, oh, this is my paycheck, indeed it is. But this is my country's future and my education.
Can you go outside, please?
But there's a limit. When I'm not bitching, but simply making an observation.
Okay.
And now I will leave. You're welcome. And if you would like, I'll teach you a little more so you can actually learn how to teach a freaking class. Because since I got here, I've done nothing but read packets. So don't try and take credibility for teaching me jack.
Just go. Bye.
Oh, by the way, that teacher got fired.
A little bit.
She was done?
I'm talking with Charles Ramsey. He's a neighbor. Walk me through again what happened this afternoon.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran to a black man's arms. Dad gave away. Dad gave away. My neighbor got big testicles because we see this dude every day. We eat ribs with this dude. But we didn't have the clue that that girl was in that house. She said, please help me get out. Dad give away. 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 My neighbor got big testicles because we see this dude every day. We eat ribs with this dude. But we didn't have the clue that that girl was in that house. She said, please help me get out. So I open the door. We can't get in that way. The body can't fit through the door. Only your hand. So we kick the bottom. And she comes out and she says, it's some old girls up in that house. Call 911 and they called him and McDonald's. I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran to a black man's arms. Dad gave away. Dad gave away. My neighbor got big testicles because we see this dude every day. We eat ribs with this dude. But we didn't have the clue that that girl was in that house. She said, please help me get out. Dad gave away.
Tell us what to do next and we'll songify that. Do it to yourself on the Songify app. Just like this.
Just like this. Just like this. Just like this.
Slow yo, huh? Accent on the yo.
Dead giveaway. Ooh, dead giveaway. My neighbor's got big testicles cause we see this dude every day. We eat ribs with it down.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. But there's a phone in the White House and it's ringing. Something's happening in the world.
I just actually found out about an hour ago that apparently a report of the incident has been leaked. I've not been able to read the report. I don't have a copy of it. But from what I gather from talking to the source, there's some things that have been clarified in the report that we've actually been hearing from confidential sources within, I guess I'd call it the official, some of the official employees in that have dealt with the victims, particularly once they were saved and then in transport to the hospital. So I think a lot of it deals with the conditions. I know the miscarriages have come up in the rumors, and that it is apparently been confirmed that there were multiple miscarriages, that the physical duress that they were put under actually caused the abortion of children. It's pretty gruesome and pretty savage.
Local media had been reporting that based on local law enforcement sources they had yesterday. Where's that information coming from that you have now?
I've been I've been told by a source that I have that actually has a copy of the report that some of this type of information, in fact, is contained within the report. Very graphic and detailed information.
I believe earlier in the day you had also said something about the birth of Amanda Berry's child, the circumstances of it.
Well, we know from several sources that Michelle Knight was forced to assist with that birth, that it ostensibly occurred within a small pool of some sort, and that Miss Knight was actually threatened with her life relative to the success of that birth.
That if Amanda Berry's child was not born alive, that Michelle Knight would suffer.
Yes. Yes, so it's, this is our worst fears, 24, 36 hours ago, relative to only imagining the horrors and the savagery of the mental and physical duress that they must have been put under.
There has been, you talk to people in the neighborhood, and there is some criticism of what they say maybe have been missed opportunities. Do you find that, or do you find that to be not?
I really question it. We all question why it's taken this long to find them and for them to escape, etc. A few things I could point on the physical aspects of this layout here. These two properties that are before that crime scene have been vacant for a long time.
And they're boarded up as well. So actually, because when you first hear that this guy's windows were boarded up on the ground floor, it sounds very unusual. But when you see that two houses next to it are also boarded up, it's sort of...
In terms of the complaints, we have a very robust...
And we are back. Welcome back to the second hour of the Morning Roast here, live from the Nut House in adjacent downtown Macon, Georgia. This is DB with Aunt Irvin.
Yes!
And Ed. Well,
Irvin's getting coffee or something.
He's getting some coffee.
He's doing something the other round. He's getting Ed. Ed's getting Irvin. We're all fine. Everybody's getting everybody. Donnie Curry, welcome to the show. Let's go through chatters real quick.
Oh, yes.
While we wait for Irvin to get back.
I want to say hello to Saibuki, Donnie Curry, Edward Mampa, Graybeard Shaman, Hawkeye, New Jersey. Wow, long time no see.
Yeah, what's up, Hawkeye?
Winchester 9708, Uric Wildcat, Ellen Macon, The Coffee Guy, T.L. Wilson, Ashley 34, Blue Notes, Beer Sports Car, Cody the Dragon Killer, Dragon Slayer. No, the Dragon Dude. Excuse me.
Wow, we got a couple of new guys here.
He's doing the roster, Irvin.
Harry Beavers, Kitten 5533, LWR Adventures,
Steven,
Jews, and Shifty 19.
There it is, the 19th.
The 19th factor. Wow.
First hour, we talked about some local news concerning a pretty big player in the downtown business scene.
And also
Cesare Mamarella and his tax woes. We talked about the Jody Arias case a little bit.
And a little bit also we had the two local stories of the death of Mr. Mann,
David Mann,
71, and
Jamal Keys. Yes. They know that both of them both are dead. One they think is murdered. The other one they don't know yet what happened for sure. We speculate on here that David Mann probably committed suicide.
Well, talking to the new guys, the newcomers, Drunk Stone Nutter. Is Hawkeye New Jersey?
Yeah, Hawkeye's our old buddy. Remember, Hawkeye used to call. Hawkeye was, if it's the same Hawkeye, Hawkeye was on the show way back from the beginning.
And be a sports guy.
Yes.
There.
We did that. We thanked them all. We went through the roster.
Yeah, I know. We went, but especially welcome them.
Yes, especially. What we do on this show is it's just 3 hours of entertainment, sports, news, local, international, national, our silly sense of humor. Sometimes we argue and get in each other's face, and really are opinionated people. So
yeah, we
debate a lot
and
of times.
we mean it.
And we also like to cover some causes that we think are worthy to cover. And you'll just join us, hang out, see what we do, and if you don't like it, move on to the Vapor Guy.
Okay, I have another local story.
Recall.
Yeah, company orders recall of ice cream produced in North Carolina and sold in Georgia. In Winston-Salem, North Carolina, a dairy company is voluntarily recalling ice cream produced in Winston-Salem and distributed to 10 states that don't identify possible allergens because the product is packed in the wrong containers. Dairy Fresh said Thursday it's recalling some of IGA brand vanilla and chocolate in a 1.75 quart package because it's really heavenly hash ice cream that may contain almonds, coconut, and soy. The containers have plant code of 3783 and a sell by date 8/13/13, August 13, 2013. The company is also recalling containers with sell-by dates between 06/8/13, June 8th, 2013, and August 27th, 13. The recalled ice cream was sold in North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia.
Wow.
Dairy Fresh officials say they are aware of one customer who had an allergic reaction after eating the ice cream. I guess due to the Heavenly Hatch that has coconuts on it.
Yeah, people are allergic to those nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. That's a good public service announcement. We do that on this show too.
Here's another one.
Is this local?
This is local.
Wow.
4 arrested on drug charges in Macon. 4 people have been arrested on drug-related charges after a search warrant led Macon police to an Iverness Avenue home. You know where that is?
Vaguely, I think.
A news release has 4 people inside around 2:30 p.m. Thursday. Inside, police found marijuana individually packaged for distribution. Several pills, 12 cocaine bags, and an Xbox previously reported stolen. Thomas Lloyd Landrum, 58. Jimmy Lee Foster Jr., 45. Elaine Davis Smith, 59. And Daryl Bernard Swint, 48. All face charges related to the drug raid. There we go.
Wow. And it's, look, it's some older people. It's not the young crowd.
I know, it's middle age.
Some older people.
It must be really getting bad for middle-aged people.
Well, hey, they figured they had something going on and they got busted.
Yep.
Anyway, so speaking of middle age and jumping to a bit of a different topic here, but it's Jimi Hendrix, one of your favorites, I guess.
I like Jimi Hendrix.
And Miles Davis, who...
I like Miles Davis, too.
Yeah, he lived in one of the hotels. Edward may remember. Edward was working there at the time. But one of my brothers was a bellman there and knew Miles Davis. I think he walked his dog or did something.
Oh, did you?
And my sister used to take care of his dog. Miles and Jimmy. This is about a 1969 Hendrix telegram. Can Paul come to play? This is about Paul McCartney as well.
Wow.
Miles and Jimmy and Miles. Fans of the late trumpet and guitar masters have long known that Miles Davis and Jimi Hendrix have been making plans to record together in a year before Hendrix's sudden death in 1970. But less attention has been paid to the bass player who was trying to recruit, Paul McCartney, who was busy with another band at the time. This tantalizing detail about the supergroup that never was, jazz standout Tony Williams would have been on the drums. You know who he is?
I have heard of Tony Williams.
Okay.
Yes.
It contained in an oft-overlooked telegram that Hendrix sent to McCartney at the Beatles' Apple Records in London on October 21st, 1969. We are recording an LP together this weekend, it says, complete with a typographical error. How about come and play bass?
Bass.
Playing a bass, rather. Stop, call Alan Douglas, and then he puts a phone number, Peace, Miles, Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis, Tony Williams. The telegram advising Paul to contact number producer Douglas if he could make the session has been part of the Hard Rock Cafe memorabilia since it was purchased in auction in 1995. Still, it only has generated attention in recent months with the successful release of People, Hell, and Angels, expected to be the last CD of Hendrix studio recordings. There you have it.
Wow.
Now, what would that have sounded like?
I don't know.
It would have been.
Might have been pretty good.
What do you think? What do you think the feel would have been?
I think it would have been jazzy.
Yeah,
I think it would have gone jazz. I think it would have. I think they would have played on more so Tony Williams and Miles Davis.
Yeah,
who were more jazz, of course, than Jimi Hendrix and Paul McCartney. But who knows? It might have just been a fusion of both. It might have been 50% jazz, 50%
rock,
60s rock, 60s, 70s rock. And
it would be totally unprecedented, though. That's for sure.
It would have been pretty interesting to think about what it would have been.
It probably would have been like the first mashup had it ever came to.
Well, I mean, they'd had super groups before that, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It would have been interesting. You know.
Possibly. I do have some other music news. Criss Cross rapper's funeral was held in Atlanta yesterday. Mourners include some well-known musical artists are gathered for the funeral of former Criss Cross rapper Chris Kelly in Atlanta. It was said Thursday afternoon at Jackson Memorial Baptist Church. The 34-year-old was found dead May 1st of a suspected drug overdose. Criss Cross was introduced to the music world in 1992 by music producer and rapper Jermaine Dupri after he discovered the pair at Greenbrier Mall in southwest Atlanta. Kelly performed alongside Chris Smith, who's known as Daddy Mac, and Mr. Kelly was known as Mac Daddy. The duo wore their clothes backward as a gimmick, but they won over fans with their raps. Their first and by far most successful song was the 1992 hit Jump, which became a #1 smash in the United States and globally. So
wow, sad. Now he mixed cocaine with what, heroin?
I just heard it was cocaine in his system.
No, it was two drugs that he used.
It was a cocktail.
Cocaine and he induced it at the same time. So that's a bad combination, folks.
Really bad combination. Yeah. Speaking of bad combinations, Randy Jackson, the
now we're going into music/entertainment.
Yes, the last original coach, last original judge from American Idol is leaving. Randy Jackson out. The 56-year-old American Idol judge says he won't be returning to Fox talent competition after serving 12 seasons on the show's judging panel.
Good.
The record producer
some fresh blood in
said in a statement Thursday that he's leaving Idol to focus on his record label and other business opportunities. Jackson became famous for his easygoing "yo dog" rapport with his contestants. He first appeared on the panel alongside Simon Cowell and Paul Abdul when the competition debuted in 2002, and currently judges the show with Mariah Carey, Nicki Minaj, and Keith Urban. Jackson's exit comes amid reports the entire panel will be replaced next season. A spokeswoman for Fox and spokeswoman for Idol producer Fremantle Media declined to comment. The current 12th season concludes next week, which, by the way, has only 2 people remaining. Candace and Cree. So the only 2 women remaining for finals, which will be next week, I think Wednesday, for the finals.
Yeah, well, also Mariah Carey just broke up with him too. So I think that maybe even that Mariah Carey was one of the judges on American Idol. Yeah. She still is, right? Is she still?
Yes.
And so that's kind of awkward. But she broke it off with him.
With who?
With Randy Jackson. He was her manager. He's no longer her manager.
I thought you were going to say love interest.
No,
yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were managing. He was. Okay.
Yeah, he was managing her for years. He really was her first manager, I believe.
Yeah, I don't watch that show either. Drunken Stone Nutter. I don't watch it. And I don't.
Yeah, Idol's coming to an end.
I haven't watched it.
I tell you the truth. I hope so because if you have Nicki Minaj as a judge as your performance, I don't know.
Well, American Idol has
Mariah Carey
overplayed his stay.
Mariah Carey undoubtedly has talent, and has the Grammys to back it up, and so does Keith Urban. But
it's obvious that the show is tanking. Let's face it,
because the voice is kicking their behind.
Well, Randy Jackson, let's face it, Randy Jackson's saying, "I'm going on because I've got other projects to work on in my record company and blah blah blah." But let's face it, Randy, you're leaving because your agent told you get the hell off that boat because it's sinking fast.
Really sinking.
That's what
get to them lifeboats. It hit the iceberg.
Yeah.
Donnie Curry says, "I only watch the auditions only for the laughter." That's true. That's why I watch it.
Yeah, but at this point, Donnie Curry, aren't the auditions? It might have been like this from the beginning, but at this point, for sure, aren't the auditions just basically a big scripted thing as well? I mean, basically, don't they put these people up there that are bad singers because there's a slot in the script for them?
Yeah.
And I would even guess that these people that are up there as bad singers, they kind of know they're up there for that reason. I don't really truly believe that these bad singers are getting up there. They think they're great, and they're just there, and they're going to be devastated by the response of these.
Well,
this is all scripted.
I don't know about that, Donnie.
He
says all those reality shows should be coming to an end. I don't think so. There's new ones being created.
No, he says they should be.
They should be.
They should be,
That's his opinion.
But it's
he didn't say all those shows will be coming to an end. He says they should, which means that's
because there have been some crappy. Yeah.
Should I use that word when I'm saying they should go out of business?
Yeah. Which
is they're about to go out of business.
Exactly. I don't know that much about X Factor, but The Voice does have better ratings. You're right, Ellen. It does get better ratings, and they actually have better talented people.
Well, but let's face it, doesn't it only get better ratings because it's the fresher, newer show? I mean, I may be caught like a smidgen of The Voice before. I don't watch it regularly. I might have caught like a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Well, yeah,
there.
That's true.
But come on, it's just because it's new. That show is going to be the same as Idol. It's going to be a has-been show. No one's going to give a shit about it.
But at least they actually have judges that actually done singing.
Right now.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen when it goes a couple more seasons and they have the same kind of panel as like Nicki Minaj? I could eventually see The Voice having everybody.
It's never been that way though, because Simon Cowell. When's the last album he made? And this guy Daryl Jackson, is it?
Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson.
Well, Randy used to play bass with Journey. A lot of people. He used to play bass with Journey.
So he does have some musical background.
He's a record producer.
Well, yeah, but that's always been an issue with the show.
Cal was just on there because they wanted the asshole.
Yeah,
and he's probably friends with the guy who put the show together.
Yeah, that is true. That's why he's on. That's why he's on the X Factor, because he's one.
That's a true statement there, Donnie. I agree. I am tired of this non-imagination in entertainment. So they throw this reality shit in our face.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right, Coffee Guy. The X Factor did started.
They basically all started.
Well, yeah, that and American Idol, because it was just Idol back.
Yeah, they always take everything from England.
And the reality show started with a musical. Well, but
we took England's country from them back in the 1770s, and now we're taking all their shows from them. These damn Americans just take everything from England.
Well, yeah, because they didn't want to pay taxes and stuff.
Well, I'm just taking it in
drink
general.
cheap tea.
Taking it in general.
Well, come on. Well, yeah, I mean, come on. Now, some of them that they became better, like. Till Death Do Us Part became All in the Family. That became bad. And then you had the spinoff of that. The
Very
Jeffersons.
few exceptions, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Sanford and Son.
Yeah, the 80s sitcoms are pretty shitty. I agree. And Drunk Stone Nutter.
Yes.
I wasn't a big Cosby Show fan. I thought that was a little too corny.
Mm-hmm. I just didn't like Friends because I thought it was way too far-fetched because, like, come on, you have 6 people living in New York City and you don't come across any blacks, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Hasidic, Jews, Pakistanis, like everybody where you come in contact is white. I mean, the squeegee guy, the cab drivers, the bag ladies.
You can keep going.
The winos. Come on.
There are an average of 172 nations in New York. 172. One day, I swear to you, when I found out this little fact, by the way, that's going to lead to segue to strange facts later. But one day, I decided to count the people that were on my subway train. And believe it or not, I came up with about 75. Because I assumed that some of the Asian people were the same. Korean and a Chinese, it's hard to tell the difference. Maybe one of the skin is yellow.
They all look the same.
They all look the same.
And Jude says, if it wasn't for the single and divorced women demographic, these fame and women behaving badly shows wouldn't be so popular. These shows reflect American female narcissism.
I somewhat agree with you. I think that they are reflecting us in a way, and society, American society, kind of really sucks.
Higher Primate is on. Who's that guy?
Yeah, because
how are you?
I mean, because I was watching it. Friends basically. I don't know whether or not people who don't watch Friends. It basically was based on an English show called Coupling, which I can understand. Them being all white cast because Britain has a wider population than the United States. It's not.
Why does that not surprise me?
What? Yeah. Oh, you mean that Friends is based on a show?
No, they're gonna have a wider population.
Britain.
Well, yeah.
Are we talking England?
Yeah, we're talking about England. Yeah, I mean, there's like about what 30 black people in England.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think he'll give you the exact numbers in a minute.
Well, I mean, because they had, Friends was based on Coupling, right? And then they're gonna make an American version of Coupling, and they're gonna put it where? Right after Friends. Like, come on, you people are ODing on Friends. People love Friends. Why are you gonna have it rehashed again? Like that's like having back-to-back Friends.
Everybody's trying to spin off and make extra.
Well, there was no black person in Friends, right?
No, not that I know of. Well, they had like 2 or 3
like guest stars.
Yeah, guest stars.
Like cameo appearances.
Well, thank you, Higher Primate, and
I
thank
think
you.
like they had Gabrielle Union and Aisha Tyler. See, they have sisters on there, but they didn't have any brothers, especially not because if some Idris Elba looking brother would have gotten with Jennifer Aniston instead of they would have cut that show off fast. You could say Cop Rock.
Cop Rock. Curry and Saibuki referred Higher Primate to us. Thank you, Curry and Saibuki.
Somebody said, I think it was your brother, said they should do a detective show here in Macon.
Yeah,
they lag on and never solve the crime.
Yeah. CSI Macon.
Yeah, CSI Macon. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway.
Yeah, Desmond was a really good show.
Desmond's was great.
Yeah, that was a good show. I did like Desmond's. They used to show it on BET. I don't know why they don't show it anymore. Because, well, they black from England. They don't count. They ain't no brother. You know, they ain't no Pookie Ray and Nut type.
Donnie Curry, Irving, Anthony,
I mean?
Tony, him to check out. I have no Higher Primate for 5 years doing my show.
Well, we appreciate it. We
appreciate you coming.
We like when people show up.
I bet Donnie's so cool. I swear to you, regardless of sometimes I go crazy on him, but Donnie Curry is so cool. He does advertise for us on the show.
We appreciate it.
From what I hear.
We appreciate it, Donnie.
Anyway.
Let's get to some big international news. Can we?
Yeah.
Because this will cause much debate on this board. Mm-hmm. You ready for debate?
Yes.
And also it might cause debate amongst the panel. But ethnocracy is on display. Cabinet ministers approve Israeli plan to forcibly displace Bedouin citizens.
Yep.
Israel's moving ahead with a plan that displaces Bedouin citizens against their will. On May 6th, Israeli cabinets gave their seal of approval to the controversial plan, which entails leveling villages and then moving Bedouin Arabs from a number of unrecognized villages in Israel into government-approved towns. Some of the demolished Bedouin villages are slated to be replaced with Jewish towns. The Israeli government has presented this plan as a way to ensure Bedouin prosperity in the employment and education fields. It will put an end to the spread of illegal building by Negev Bedouin and lead to better integration of the Bedouin into Israeli society, so says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu back in January. But the Bedouin, who have inhabited the Negev area in southern Israel long before the establishment of the state, are rejecting the plan. It means Judaization of the Negev. The main goal of these plans is to seize Arab lands and exterminate Arab roots, says Atia Al-Assam, a Bedouin community leader, and he told the Mayan News. The initial framework for the plan was approved in September of 2011. The plan is known as the Prawer Plan, P-R-A-W-E-R, and it was okayed by Netanyahu in March of 2012. According to critics, it will lead to the displacement of up to 40,000 people, though the Israeli-Palestinian group Adalah says it could displace up to 70,000 people. Organizations such as Amnesty International and Association of Civil Rights in Israel, or ACRI, have decreed the plan. The plan states that only those Arab Bedouin citizens who claimed land in the 1970s are able to receive any form of compensation, land or monetary, from the state, unquote. Compensation will amount to a maximum of 50% of the land claimed, though reasonable estimates reveal that the Bedouin will receive only about 16%. Further, all compensations is conditioned on the claimant giving up his or her ancestral land. There are 200,000 Bedouin citizens of Israel. That's a little side note. So what do we guys think of this?
About what? About the...
What do you think?
Well,
are you on the side of the Israelis?
I'll let him speak first because I got a lot to say.
I got a lot to say too. Go, Darren.
That is...
Come on, Mr. Fence Guy. Say something or pass it on.
Mr. Fence Guy? What do you mean by that?
He's on the fence.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of back and forth. I mean, it's really hard to.
Well,
I mean, come on. I'm going to say what I think.
Okay.
I'm not going to be pro-Jewish and Israeli on this. I'm telling you right now. I'm siding with these Bedouins. Okay? And that's just the way it goes.
I think the Beds are going to win. Right, Coffee Guy?
Beds and bedding.
I think in this case, the Israelis are hanging out with bad bedfellows.
Okay.
But no, seriously, this is just straight government seizure. Let's face it, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Right?
Yeah, well, I guess.
This is
from a
government
legal
seizure.
sense, yeah.
Well, no, legal my ass, moral. This is
And
just
moral.
this is completely all around seizure. It's not your land, Israel, to take from them. It's just not. I mean, I'm sorry if you disagree with me. We have a big Jewish population out there, I know. And we have a lot of pro-Israelites in this country. Well, let's face it. This is straight stealing from somebody.
Right. Right. This is why Jimmy Carter continues to receive a lot of pounding on not only his presidency, that he was a lousy president, but the fact that his position on Israel is not what everybody expects. He has been saying this now for years, that the Palestinian people are suffering under the hands of the Israelis because the Israelis are like bullies in the area. Now, I understand that Israel has to flex his muscle because it's the only so-called democracy, which I have trouble really believing that. Right. In the Middle East,
in that region,
but this is what happens when America stands behind a country not sure what it's getting into. It happened with Saddam Hussein. It happened even in Syria. They were backing up Syria, the father, for years. It happened with the Shah of Iran. It happened with, time and time again, America gets mixed up with the wrong people. And then we end up with egg on our face.
Right.
But in this case, I don't think Israel is ever going to be in the position of the Shah or the Baghdad guy and all that. Because in the end, Israel is a favorite of the United States. So now, look at what happened with the bombing recently in Syria. The United States turned their blind eye to that. And what's happening with this, I believe this area is not the Golan Heights, because they gave that already. Who knows if they'll take it back.
It's the Negev region. I don't know exactly where that is.
Well, I think it's close to...
Negev.
Yeah, I think it's close to... It was Golan Heights and the other strip.
Gaza.
The Gaza.
Gaza
I think it's in Gaza. And or near Gaza. And so once again, antagonizing those people is not going to help.
Right. Citizen Charles Foster Kane says no different than Germans moving the Jews to the ghetto. That's exactly what hit my mind when I read this morning, Kane. Is that I thought, wait a minute, the Jews should know how this feels. Why the hell are they doing this? That same thing was done to them by Hitler and the Nazi Party.
Yes.
And yet they want to do the same thing to the Bedouins. And that's the first thing that hit me when I read this story this morning.
But I guess in a way, a lot of people, or at least a lot of Americans, are reluctant to question Israel on that, but afraid of fear of being considered being called an anti-Semite.
Right. It's a little bit of not wanting to be looked at as politically incorrect. It's a little bit of the whole belief that Israel is, of course, the big power that the Bible speaks of. So everybody thinks, we've got to be on their side because the Bible just tells us what's going to happen with Israel. We have to be on their side.
But that is
and
part
that's
of the reason.
Unfortunate part of the reason too. It's a number of things, but let's face it. This is at the crux of the matter. It's like what I say about the Sutton case. It comes down to one thing. Sutton's got a horrible record. He shouldn't have been a police officer. He's got to go. This is the same thing. It's plain and simple by what they said. This is straight out theft. You're making people leave. What was the one quote here? They want to ensure the Bedouin prosperity in the employment of education. Who is it to Israel to decide who prospers and who learns what they want to learn?
Well, because
that's
they
the
want to
bullshit
keep
of it.
control.
And they want to teach their ways to them. They want to convert them. Let's face it, right? They want to convert them.
Well,
right?
and
that's just straight up.
Let's face
straight
it,
up.
like you said, the Arab Spring didn't go as smoothly as it could have. And that justifies their thinking. That justifies to them, oh, they can't get their act together and blah, blah, blah. This is worse than Africa. You know, it's like, and so, once again, it justifies their hand in trying to stamp down too much Arab influence. And it's just like in South Africa. They said there's a few of us and a lot of you. You guys got a lot of land. That's their excuse. You guys got enough land. Just leave us this little portion. That's about the size of what? It's about the size of Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm. It's not even that big.
Maybe, if that.
So, but remember, as far as most, and I'm not going to say all, but most of the Arab community wants Israel out of there.
Well, of course.
Irregardless.
Of course they do.
And so, I mean, you know, isn't that displacing them too?
Well, I don't agree with necessarily them being removed either, but the thing about it is you have the plot of land you have, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Keep it. Work with what you've got. I mean, I know it's harsh, like Irvin said. You're surrounded by people that really want to kill you, basically.
Yeah.
I understand that. But the answer is not to go after Bedouins. And let's face it now, the Bedouins are a different sort of Arab.
Yeah.
Right.
If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, the Bedouins are a very peaceful type of person.
Very religious, peaceful.
Not necessarily compared to some of the other more radical Arabs that you hear about.
They're not jihadists.
Yes. So, I mean, let's face it. You're basically displacing peaceful people that have done nothing, that just want to live their nomadic ways, you know, their sort of way that they live, and they've been there before you. I mean, it's theirs. You know, it's kind of comparable to what we did to the Indians here in the U.S., right? The indigenous
exactly.
People. And I think that's outright wrong for the U.S. to do that as well.
You know, that's a good point you bring up, because maybe that's why America isn't so all over this. For that reason, because we have that history.
Mm-hmm. Maybe so.
And, you know, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what my argument with anarchy is. Anarchy, that's why, as an anarchist, I think if anything is terrorism, it's government.
Yeah.
Government proves through history that government is involved in terrorism nonstop.
You know, I hate to also say it. Well, I don't hate to say it. I'm glad I'm saying it, because it may bring up some food for thought. But if you notice, the president is now focused on trying to sell Obamacare again, immigration. You know, you have on the news, you have Prince Harry coming in town, and they're making news about Vegas. Meanwhile, all this mayhem is going on over there.
Yeah,
that should be the top story,
right?
Along with this guy that had those girls, which I'm going to bring up, for 10 years. And that's like the big news story right now.
Dead giveaway.
You know, America lives off of high stories here.
What are the chatters, Derek, saying about this topic? I saw that Urak and Saibuki put some stuff up.
Yeah, Urak said Israel has knowingly bulldozed houses with people in them, killing one American woman.
Right.
Sabuki says, drunk, yes, they do at the bottom of forgotten ideologies.
Yeah.
Urak also adds that the family tried to pressure international court and U.S. court rejected them. Sabuki says Israel was created from surrounding land and did not exist before 1948, so where's the right to it?
That's a good point.
Urak says, if you want to see the control Israel has over the U.S., just watch the silence from the United States.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The silence is deafening. By the way, because it says Israel is evil as hell. You see, that's the perception that they set off, which is why even when who was it that called them the evil empire? It was Bush.
Reagan, I thought.
No, it was Bush.
Was it Bush? First Bush? Daddy Bush?
No, son Bush.
No. It was Reagan.
It was Reagan.
Because the band Rage Against the Machine named their album Evil Empire.
That's
and it was
correct.
From
That's
the
correct.
Reagan
It was
quote.
Reagan.
That's right.
Now, that's coming back to haunt us. Because in the Arab world, we're known as the evil nation in connection with Israel.
The great Satan,
Because we support Israel.
Right.
Wholeheartedly.
Right.
It doesn't matter what they do. They could use a nuclear weapon. We'll say, well, it was justifiable.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of
Higher
Israel,
Primate is a good
speaking
album.
of
Bulls
Israel,
on
or at least something pertaining to it,
People of the sun.
or at least the culture, I should say. I know a lot of people have been talking about Jason Collins, last week about him coming out in the NBA, and there were.
Wait, are we jumping?
Wait a minute.
I'm not jumping into sports per se.
I know, but
let me finish my
How
statement.
does this synergize?
Okay, the thing to synergize. I mean, because of it's kind of controversial. I mean, a lot of some African Americans, not all, but a good number were saying like, why the gay community always compare their plight with the civil rights movement in African Americans in the 50s and 60s, considering the fact that both Jews and gays were both killed and suffered in the Holocaust. How could they not being attached to that? Is it because the Holocaust didn't happen on American soil, but the civil rights movement did?
It might have something to do with that.
I also, gays were killed in the old days, but not in the extreme that blacks and Jews were. I mean, let's face it, over 6 million Jews and blacks, we have no count for because we didn't consider them human, but I'm sure the number is close to that as well. Yeah. And so,
plus there were like close to 500,000 to 1 million or so, maybe a little bit more, gays were killed in the Holocaust. They didn't have yellow Star of David, but they did have the triangle. That's why when they have gay pride parades, they have a picture of a triangle.
Right.
On there.
Well, a lot of gays were killed, of course, during the Holocaust, but the number was smaller because I guess people weren't admitting to it, or actually that's what La Cage aux Folles is about.
Kind of, yeah.
It's kind of related to the gay era during the Nazi in France.
Coffee Guy says no, La Cage aux Folles not, Cabaret.
Oh, Cabaret.
No,
okay.
La Cage aux Folles.
But La Cage aux Folles, the one about the couple that their son brings home his girlfriend.
Right.
It was also the Birdcage.
The Birdcage.
That's the
American. But that's the same story.
English translation.
Oh, anyway, let's get back to this because this is important up here. Coffee Guy says, good point. He says, well, I thought Bedouins were nomads. They are. I mean, he doesn't say nomads, but that's what they are. He goes, so they move around anyway. Is it their land? And I say, well, I guess it's their land as much as it's Israel's. Again, the rule in here said something to the effect of only those Arab Bedouin citizens who claim the land in the 70s are able to receive any form of compensation, land or monetary, from the state. But again, it goes to other numbers. So I guess as far as this particular area, Coffee Guy, they've had that land at least since the 70s, right?
Yeah.
At least. By the Bedouins.
Oh, yeah.
So, I guess it's technically their land. I don't know.
Well, Donnie Curry is saying, how about this? Thought Israel is being spoken about evil, and aren't the imposing countries Muslims? So why are we talking about them in a positive light as well as our country is defending the Muslims? So what is it about wrong is wrong on the other side? First of all, Donnie, let's face it. We kiss Israel's ass. We don't kiss other Muslims' ass. We barely even touch the surface in connection with the good that they have.
Well, Saudi Arabia.
Everything that we talk about in Muslim countries, basically, especially
because
today,
they got oil. If they didn't have any oil,
where people don't like Muslims. Right?
Well, and also
people don't like Muslims, and that's because America has stigmatized the Muslim community with being terrorists and all that. So where in the world have you been, Donnie? Thinking that Israel and that America is talking positive about Muslim countries.
Says one of the reasons America is so disliked is because of Israel. He says, I'm sure that the Bedouins are the indigenous people there, and I was trying to read what Jews said. He says, gays have a good quality of life and earn more than the average American. They can't get married, but does that qualify as oppression?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's stick on this story.
Well, Donnie does agree we kick their ass.
Okay. Well, see, this is the way I look at it, Donnie. Again, it's simple theft in my eyes is what it is. It's simply moving people out of their land. It's theft. It's like that imminent.
Yeah, it is.
It's like that imminent domain. Crap. That's what it is. That's why I'm against it.
But they did it here. Robert Moses did it.
But
in
New
New York.
I still believe a lot of this is connected to the Bible. I think America's attitude towards Israel is due a lot to the Bible.
Yep.
It's the religion. I mean, I would love to see this story, and it might happen in the history of our existence eventually. But I would love to see a story, and if it's already been made, somebody pointed out to me, a book or a movie or something, in which we finally, this country, hell, maybe I'll write this short story or whatever. This country gets a president, finally.
Yeah.
And the president is hard on Israel. Like the president does the same thing.
Get Jimmy Carter back.
That involves, well, yeah, that's kind of funny, but no, get to where the U.S. treats Israel the same way it treats these other countries when it acts like I need to be big brother, I need to stick my nose in their business, blah, blah, blah. Because you're right, they never stick their nose in Israel's business. Mm-hmm. They always keep away with Israel. Everybody else, America feels like they got to land on their soil and stick their nose in their business. That might be a good story, to have a president finally come into office that completely just goes after Israel in a way.
Yeah, but the thing is, does he end up going to Dallas one day?
Well, that's the point, is that you're right. There would be a lot of aftermath, whether that's the next big World War III or Armageddon or whatever the hell you want to call it. But, we'll see. I just think it's wrong. I think it's basically wrong.
Yeah.
It's a matter of taking somebody that somebody else has.
Let's read what the chatters are saying, because they're saying a lot about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was reading what says the Muslims have a lot of opportunity here, though, and because 77 says you're right, DB, they are fighting because of the oil, and it says, and Gray Beard Chum says religion is always trumped by politics and power. The coffee guy says not isolationism, DC.
Yeah, because DC Donnie Curry said we ought to be concerned about our own country, which is true.
Donnie Curry calling, I believe.
I bet.
Morning Roast.
Morning Roast.
Hello.
Hi.
Who's this?
Irving.
Graybeard.
Morning Roast.
It's Graybeard.
No, he hung up.
That was Graybeard.
Oh, really?
I think.
No.
Yeah, just remember the last time we had a policy of isolationism, it did not work. Oh, yeah, that was during World War I, yeah. Then the Lusitania got sunk.
It wasn't Graybeard.
All right.
Okay.
You just answered.
The U.S. Stop scrolling there. Let me read Winchester. The U.S. has brought Israel to the table many times when there were problems. Clinton most recently. When did Clinton bring Israel to the table?
When did Clinton what?
Bring Israel to the table. I don't remember that.
Winchester says it was around Yitzhak. It was around when Yitzhak Rabin was the prime minister at the time, and he was trying to make peace with Yasser Arafat.
And they did connect.
That's right.
They did connect. Yasser Arafat stopped lobbing bombs.
But did anybody really believe that?
No, because
and Yasser Arafat was not liked by every single Palestinian.
That was a photo opportunity.
And then at the same time, the thing like Yitzhak Rabin, he actually I think died like a few months later after that, and people were like really questioning that.
Wow.
Sabuka says, "Good point, nice point, Juice." What he said, I was trying to scroll it up. Keeps on going. Says America has no culture. It's gravitated towards the Bible when it's lost its main street to malls and Walmart.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
I agree with that.
When you say the word culture, what do you mean by that? Anyway, just remember the last time we had a policy of isolationism, it did not work. And Donnie Curry then comes back and says, in the past, Coffee, we were the best during 1948 and 1962. If you were white. And this country had the mentality that we could go on vacation and not lock our doors. So, yes, it did work. And the reason why they didn't lock their doors, Donnie, is because no black people lived around them.
And Coffee Guy replies, we were great in the 50s because of great leadership. I think Eisenhower was a good leader.
He was all right.
Plus the opportunity of post-war era.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sabuka says, they bring them to the table and give them a damn good feed and send them on their way. What do you mean, give them a dinner?
That's pretty good, yeah.
Wow.
He's basically saying they stroke them. Give him a reach around. Give him a reach around.
Okay.
Give him a reach.
That's what we're doing with the Israelis.
That's what I'm saying.
We're reaching him around.
Jimmy Carter sucked beer sports cards.
Of course, everybody says that.
He was pretty horrible.
But he was he was lame. And I knew that happened when the World Series. Who won the World Series? In
Yankees.
No, it was the Yankees.
Yankees were winning in the 70s.
Right. And so there's Jimmy Carter, and they're passing the trophy like right over his head.
Yeah.
And he has to duck.
Right.
I mean, this is the president of the United States, and I saw that as a weakness in him. Would you believe that as a kid?
Dang it!
They like disrespected him.
I did not have security.
Oh, I love that picture,
Ed.
Ed.
I like that.
I tell you,
that's great.
That is not how I.
And he looks like her. Isn't that weird? He looks exactly like her.
Well,
in that picture.
That is a wing dang doodle of a picture right there.
Hirak says he was set up before Reagan even took office. Who are we talking about? Oh, yeah. You're talking about Carter?
Society has fallen apart.
Coffee Guy says society has fallen apart here in the United States.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because we know a lot of things that have caused it. We think it's some of the music has caused it. Some of the entertainment has caused it. Politics has caused it.
And believe it or not, even in movies, okay? During the 70s and 80s especially, and even some of the 90s, the fat, overweight, jovial, stupid guy became everybody's favorite
hero. Yeah.
And believe it or not, I mean, there's a great book called From Men to Boys, and that talks about the generation, especially in the 70s, 80s, and even now, today in 2000, where older men, middle-aged men, wear the clothes that their sons wear. The Nikes, the running pants, the jerseys,
the sweats, and
stuff. When my father was around, he wore a collared shirt and polyester pants and black shoes, and that's the way the dad dressed. And then the kid dressed in jeans and sneakers and all that. But now the parents are doing that, and so
I'm even guilty of that.
The dumbification. And
I'll dress down in t-shirts a lot.
Yeah, the emasculation of men as well.
Exactly. I've been saying that for decades. Especially during the African American community. Really, that's they have the dressing down over the years. I mean,
so do both of you think Jack Ellis looks ridiculous when he runs around town with his jogging suit on?
Yeah. Well,
do you? I mean, honestly.
No, I believe it or not, I see that.
When Jack Ellis is not out there campaigning and he's not in his he's always campaigning. But when he's not in his suit, we see him a lot. He is out there. He doesn't hide. Like Rickard, he doesn't hide. He goes to Roasted. He gets stuff at Roasted.
But Rickard always dresses in a suit.
No, but Jack Ellis, we see him dressed down. You see him in his
big time.
In his
big time
suit.
By the way, Donnie Curry, Mr. Integrated. Unity period between the races. Black communities were united and the white communities were united. Was the point I was making in a respectful community, is not a racist comment.
Well, to an extent, he is right, because there were the communities now have been quite fragmented. I mean, I don't know whether you want to blame it on reality TV or not, but it is.
Well, it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper, of course. It goes back to the race issue also a little bit. And
I was watching a program just recently about the race issue.
I mean.
And there's this college, what do they call that? A group that forms. What do they call that?
A fraternity?
A fraternity. A college fraternity right now that's a whites-only fraternity. You got the leader of that fraternity said, everybody's welcome, right? So he gets on television and he talks about everybody's welcome. Well, the black guy will be welcome if he is pushing the white-only idea. And their first speaker is a guy that was a KKK Grand Wizard guy in his neighborhood. So the problem with white culture is that in most cases I see that if you're going to aspire to be, and push the so-called white Caucasian agenda, is that they're always kind of attacking and bringing in like hateful people that hate whites, as opposed to people who.
Well, not all of them.
Well, this
Not
white
all of
fraternity is a prime example.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Of a
That
whites-only agenda.
That stuff goes on in college fraternities because let's face it, guys in frats are like little kids. We were just talking about boys to men and men to boys. Let's face it, frat guys are the most irresponsible, immature guys going a lot of times.
The Tri Lambda, which is a real fraternity, is real all black. Yeah, but they're not going around in their fraternity, and prove it if you can, talking hate speech. They're not talking
well, you
about...
don't know that, Irvin.
Well, Tri Lambda. Well, see, that was one reason why I hated that movie, Revenge of the Revenge of the Nerds movies, because Tri Lambda was a black fraternity. I guess kind of like Alpha Phi Alpha and Omega Psi Phi, all the black historical black fraternities and stuff. Because you had Lamar guy, you had the one black nerd who happened to be also the gay nerd, which I thought was really bad. I know it was a weak attempt at showing diversity, but I personally think it was just Hollywood's way to keep the brother from getting laid, because they had an Asian nerd too. Because you mean to tell me not only the guy's the only black kid on campus, but he's also the only gay kid on campus? Let's be real. All those jocks and stuff, come on. That's ridiculous.
Welcome, Von Helton.
Yes. But, I mean, again, I think there are other groups besides white groups that kind of press their agenda, Irvin.
Well, Donnie Curry says there's racists on both sides. We experience that here.
Whatever.
He doesn't have to tell me that. I'm sure you live in an all-white neighborhood compared to us. And, me being Puerto Rican, I get it from both sides.
But
we get it from the whole planet.
Well, except for Africa. Well, wait a minute. You have tribes that fight each other in Africa.
All the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah. Yes.
All the time. Some of those are responsible for the slave issue.
It's time for another break.
Because they
I'll ask
other
break.
people, which a lot of people say, well, they sold their own people. No, they were selling other people. They were fighting against a whole other.
Well, when they say own people, they mean own color.
Yeah.
They're not saying own people like own nation. They know it's two different tribes fighting, but when they say own people, they mean that they both have the same basic.
Yeah, but even so,
either way,
that's still ignorant. I mean,
slaves.
English fought the French, but they don't call them just because they're both white and they're both European don't mean they're the same people, the same color. That's still ignorant.
But to the slave owner, they were judging it on the color, right? And if they're both the same shade of color, regardless if they're two different tribes fighting, the white slave owner is not going to see him as any different. The white slave owner is going to see him as equal, right?
Right.
It's just it's still it's a clique. It's a clique in a gang selling the other clique in the gang to say it's a slavery.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another.
It's 10:03.
We got to take a break.
We got to take a
break. On this show.
It's 65 degrees and it's sunny. I may have to take this shirt. It may be too thick to wear today because it's
getting up.
Yeah, it's getting up and rising. It's 65 degrees in Macon with a high of 83 and a low of 63. You're watching The Morning Roast live from the Nut House. We'll be right back, and I'll have a story about the Bangladesh factory update.
And we got a little more sports, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We have strange facts as well.
Right, and another word from our sponsor.
We'll be back.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. Excellent. Good. Yeah, that's incredible. Lovely. Yep. Bring the camera now. Oh, it's so dynamic. It's incredible. Yep. Down the barrel. Okay. Thank you very much. We've got it. Cheers, everybody.
The LG Compressor Plus with Samsung Dyson's top-selling DC29 can't match.
We've come a long way from the days when computers looked like this. Back then, office gossip was around the water cooler. Today's workplace conversations happen on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media. But with this new world come new risks.
The decision I made ended up getting me fired pretty much.
Joe Lovato was on the job and feeling sick. Really sick.
It felt like someone was kicking me in my stomach.
He says his supervisor was less than sympathetic.
And he told me I wasn't allowed to leave my machinery again.
Lobato logged onto Facebook.
It was posted March 23rd at 5:09 p.m.
9 sentences.
Guess they think a person is a machine and can't get sick.
Just enough to spell trouble.
And I got to the point where I put a comment on Facebook that got me fired.
Lobato's co-worker reported him to their boss.
That's my Facebook, and he was my friend.
His termination form says Lobato was fired for gross misconduct, posting negative statements about the company on a public forum.
If you want to keep your job, don't be critical of your employer on Facebook.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson says Lobato could sue for his job back.
Suing your employer and winning, it doesn't happen very often, and it's going to take a lot of time and money.
The National Labor Relations Board says employees do have the right to talk about work conditions on Facebook, but employers are also allowed to take action against lone workers ranting online.
I think social media really limits people's filters.
Tamara Trujillo with Mountain States Employers Council advises companies to treat negative posts just like they would if those comments were made in the cafeteria.
What you say does matter, and what you say, more importantly, not only does it matter, it gets out.
There is nothing fully private in the internet space.
9 News digital content manager Misty Montano says even if a social media post doesn't get you fired, it could hurt your chances of getting a promotion or another job.
The most common misconception is that employers are not looking.
Other Coloradans have paid the price for bad behavior online. A high school teacher in Aurora was fired for posting on Twitter about having drugs on school grounds. An executive for an Englewood-based company lost his job and is facing criminal charges for anonymous email threats and calls to a state lawmaker.
What happened to me was, I just feel is wrong.
Lobato says he's definitely feeling the pain from that Facebook post. No job, no income. He says ranting online isn't worth it.
Because you could end up being fired.
Can't we all just get along at the Red House Furniture? We can.
At the Red House.
I'm Richard, a.k.a. Big Head. I work at the Red House, and I'm black. I like pumping iron and pumping furniture into people's homes.
I'm Johnny, a.k.a. 10 Gauge. I work at the Red House, and I'm white. I like deer hunting, bass fishing, and extending credit to all people. At the Red House.
I'm black, and I love the Red House. I'm white, and I love the Red House.
I'm a black woman, and I love the Red House.
I am white, and the Red House is for me.
At the Red.
Hey, give me my phone. Give me my phone.
Alrighty. Final hour, the morning roast.
Final less than an hour.
Less than an hour. It's 10:08, 38 seconds in the AM. This is Flippin' Friday. Derek Barrett, Anthony Harris, Urban J. Martinez, Megan Scariotti, Ed Einbeiner behind the laptop of steel.
Jeff Adams is here.
What's up, Jeff? Let's do a roll call real quick. We appreciate you
hello
all.
there.
We're
Thanks.
still sitting up there, I believe, at number 1, or did we slip down?
No, we're still at number 1.
All right.
We want to, so far, all the people who are here right now, we have Because
Loud and
77, and beside Buki, Donnie Curry, Hawkeye, New Jersey, Winchester 9708, Uric Wildcat, Ellen Macon, The Coffee Guy, T.L. Wilson. You all right? Okay. Ashley 34, Blue Notes, Beer Sports Card, Crom 1, Drunk Stone Nutter, Harry Beavers, Jews, LWR Ventures, Sea Games, and the Jeff Adams Show. What's up? What's going on?
Welcome, Crom, and welcome, Sea Gangs.
Yes.
Those are new guys.
Hey, I got a question.
No,
for
Crom's
everybody
been on.
out there that does bond shows, does anybody else have a problem with the streaming, like freezing for a second?
Ed's got a question to you all out there. Do you guys have problems with your show streaming?
Yeah, have like some speed bumps in the way, like it just all of a sudden just freeze up and then come back on.
Some
I wanted to
of
answer.
it is a bandwidth.
I wanted
thing.
to go back up during the break. Somebody wrote something like, "Oh my God, Anthony, you're now talking for slave owners." Who said that to me?
Let's see.
I'm not talking for slave owners. What I'm doing is I'm just basically telling them what was probably most likely the fact of the matter. Is that the slaves, you guys correct me if I'm wrong if you guys are all more knowing about this, but the slave owners wanted slaves for what reason? Their strength.
Yeah, it was Von Helton.
Their strength, right? Their physical capability to work their fields. The obvious reason to do it and not having to really give them anything for the work, right? So let's face it. I mean, slave owners were getting those darker skinned people for those reasons. That was their reasoning.
Because they were much more durable.
That was their reasoning, exactly. So what I'm saying to Derek, when you had these African, or not even African, you go into other continents and stuff, countries, when you had these two tribes, like Derek said, they were already
fighting each other,
conflicted, having disputes, that one would capture the others and then sell them into slavery.
Yeah, so they basically
that's
POWs.
That's right. That's plain and simple. And the reason was that both tribes were black or darker skinned. I'll say, right?
Well,
because of the white man's mentality.
Von Helton's not even on, and when Winchester said take a break, boys, he says yeah like a year, and now he's gone. So whatever.
Yeah.
But I do have some stories about the Bengals.
Who says Ant was dressed as Leo DiCaprio in Django? I didn't see that movie, but I assume Leo is the bad guy. I haven't seen the movie.
He is. I have seen the movie. It's not. It's not bad.
But anyway, no, I'm just trying to spout history, folks. I'm not sitting here trying to, be a slave.
Donnie Courage stirring the pot.
Go for it.
He says.
Look at
and you know
College.
what?
What about Morehouse College? I know some people from Morehouse. Michael Harris is a cinematographer. Lionel Montel Elders graduated from Morehouse.
Read what Donnie says about it.
All right, hold on. Trying to find it. This thing moves around so damn fast. Everybody's slamming away. Here we go. Bullshit. I lived in Georgia and was ridiculed by blacks for being white.
Who said that, Donnie?
I know the feels and do see that they are just as racist as white people back there, and they have no reason to only because I was white.
But Donnie, is that Donnie?
Yeah.
Okay,
the point I am making, blacks had a raw deal in the South and have good reason to hate whites, but since the 70s they have been just as bad as whites,
Donnie,
and continue to be racist. But I never hear you guys address it.
Donnie, that's because the reason is this. We agree there are people that are assholes to all types of people, okay? I know there's blacks that don't like whites. I'm not stupid. I know there's blacks that pick on whites. But the history shows, and we're not talking about it nowadays, we're not even saying that the whites now are all racist. There are some that are, I believe. But I don't think a majority of them are. But the point is that the history of it, Donnie, it's the history of it, okay? It's not that we don't know, it's not that we don't know that it exists in other forms. Of course it does.
Yes.
But Donnie, you have to think too, some black people that picked on you, or even in the case of I got picked on by black, I've been picked on by black people before. I've been picked on by Spanish people before. I've been picked on by white people. But with you, in that case, and not all of them, because I don't know, I'm sure not all of them were picking on you, Donnie, because of your skin color.
Yeah.
I think there's other reasons they were picking on you,
Right.
Donnie. And I don't think it was because you were a white guy.
Exactly. Did you ever ask them?
I mean, that's the point I'm making. And I agree, not all whites pick on all black people because they're racist either. I know.
They picked on me because I was short, too.
Well, and here's the other thing I want to point out.
So that's
you have to remember, there are what? 12% African Americans, if not maybe 14% in the United States.
Yeah,
there's a hell of a lot more of you around.
Right.
And there's a hell of a lot more of white people that hate black people than black people hate white people.
But that goes with the percentages you just gave
Exactly.
us, too.
With the reality
More
percentage
people,
of that is. Okay?
Right.
So, there's just more of you.
But I see. That's why I look past the race thing, because I believe, Donnie, that people do right or wrong, plain and simple. And that's what I'm going to touch on tomorrow's speech. When I speak after the march, they asked me to speak. I wrote a little essay here. It's in this book that I'm going to speak, that I'm going to say, and I touch on that a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of hint. I touch on that it's all about just right and wrong. It's about your actions.
Yeah.
It's not about the color of the skin. This is the way I think it should be, and this is the way it needs to work out. Is that I'm beyond looking at somebody with their color.
Right.
Yeah, I can go down the street and see a black guy who drives by and hollers names at me out the car window. Yeah, I can. But I can also go down the street and hear a white guy do the same thing. I don't sit there and see the black guy do it, Donnie, and go, God damn nigger, I hate blacks. Every black is like that guy that did that. I don't do that. You know, so I just look at it as being an idiot, a human being that's an idiot. It's not a color thing, Donnie. And I agree, some people do think that way, but it's just not.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because speaking of idiocy and
race,
their Latino activists are pissed off at Disney, trying to trademark a holiday. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, tweets from Latino activists, writers, and artists are being credited for pushing Disney into withdrawing a Dia de los Muertos trademark request. Advocates say anger and ridicule expressed on social media forced the company to retreat Tuesday as word of the move to copyright the holiday spread. Online petitions were created and organizers discussed plans to boycott the planned Pixar movie and products that would have been linked to the trademark. Critics say Disney has no rights to trademark cultural holidays. The Day of the Dead, or in Spanish, Dia de los Muertos, honors the departed souls of loved ones who are welcomed back for a few intimate hours. The holiday is celebrated in November in much of Latin America and the U.S.
See, and that's interesting that comes up, because remember what I told us that Heather and I thought about 3 years ago, is that how Macon needs to have a Day of the Dead parade. Well, that'd be awesome.
Dia de los Muertos.
If
because
Macon had one of those parades where
because they celebrate dead people.
They celebrate the dead all over the Caribbean, and even in Puerto Rico, they go around with pots and pans banging in people's houses, and they celebrate like a parade. And that kind of culture just couldn't exist today.
Day of the Dead.
Here in the United States, especially.
I would love to see Cherry Street with just floats and people marching down there, and they're all in their different examples of Day of the Dead.
And we do have a Day of the Dead, which is Halloween. Basically, that's where Halloween
I want
came
that parade where everybody has to come up with an original way to dress, but yet you have to incorporate the Day of the Dead face paints. That's what I want to see going down Cherry Street. And we said that. I said that on this show months ago. I said this on blogs that I read years ago.
Yeah, well.
I was just reading what Sabuki says. There are like 5 black people where I live. In your neighborhood or just in England in general?
But they're not worried about it. They're not worried
about
it.
And Sabuki,
actually, blacks are almost celebrated in England.
I was about to say, Sabuki's not worried about it. He says, Donnie says, the reason I was ridiculed because I was white in a black area, period. I know what happened, and you say what you said was wrong. You were not there otherwise. Okay, well, Donnie, come on, man.
Donnie, please, right now. I mean, I experienced it from both sides, brother. Okay? It's not just the blacks that are racist against me, but the whites are racist against me. And so, because they think I'm Jewish, or they think I'm Hispanic, they know that I'm Latino.
Right.
And so I get it from both. I get it in stereo. Okay?
I mean, Donnie, I'm not questioning what you went through. I wasn't there. But I mean, again, are you going to have a mentality that because a few blacks picked on you, every black does it?
Yeah.
Are you going to have the mentality that because a few blacks picked on you, that the
and
whole
now
race,
he's going to come back
the
with...
whole race is coming after you?
Now he's going to come back with, well, what do you say about the whites? Why are you saying that the whites
what
are
have
all
I sat on here
Nobody
and
said that.
What have I sat on here, Donnie, and said that the white race are all the cream devil? What have I said that?
Exactly. I just say there are more of them.
I've said, no, what I said, I'm not going to speak for these two. Well, I said there's cases in Macon, Georgia, where I live, of people that are behaving in a racist manner that are white. I didn't say all of them here are, Donnie.
And there are blacks here that are behaving in a racist manner.
With my mentality and what I've learned and what I've looked into, I think, in my opinion, that Clayton Sutton is a case of a guy who has racist tendencies towards blacks. That's my right to say that. I can feel that way about Chief Burns as well, possibly. that he might have some racist tendencies going on. But the point is, I never said that every white person on this show, Donnie, is racist. When did I say that? I just learned to accept that there's assholes in all races.
Yep.
There's idiots in all races. And one day, I might see all of the black idiots by the way they behave toward me. The next day, I might see a bunch of Hispanic idiots by the way they behave toward me. I mean, it's just, it goes around, Donnie.
Coffee guy said, just call me Whitey. Changing my name to Whitey.
Yeah.
The coffee guy.
The coffee guy. I just do not ever hear both sides of the argument. Here is my point.
What, Donnie, what argument? I've said it on here 5,000 times in little snippets.
I know.
That I think there's black racists. I've called out Al Sharpton. I've called out Jesse Jackson.
We've called it out.
I called out black Republicans. So.
I mean, we've said
you know what it is
before, Donnie.
There may be an issue here, Donnie, that because you're formulating something to write, you hear yourself more than you hear us.
Exactly.
Honestly.
That might be what it is, Donnie. You might be...
Because you write like these manifestos on here. I'm sure you're just caught up in your own writing and you're not listening.
Right.
We have been talking about the subject from the beginning of our show. White racism, black racism, Hispanic racism. I talked about Hispanic racism back when we were at Roasted. When we were talking about how the Hispanic people, my father's a bigot, and how Spanish people don't like black people. That's just a fact. They don't.
Despite the fact that over 90% of the slaves went to Latin
Not
America.
all of them, but most of them. Some of them. Especially those that are not in the
Caribbean.
Caribbean.
People on Spanish television. That's a whole other story.
You go to Spain. You go to Argentina.
First.
No, I'm serious. You go to Spain. You go to Argentina. You go to any other place that is like, more pure blood Hispanic, or Spanish rather. They're very racist against black people. Extremely. And so,
question. Y'all remember
racism comes in all colors, believe it or not.
You watch Leave It to Beaver?
Yes.
Yeah.
His friend Whitey.
Yes.
Donnie says he remembers that.
Whitey? Well, he was Whitey.
There was a jab, though, in that.
Really?
The time and the era.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought maybe you were going to say there's a jab.
That was
like
a racial stab.
Jeff Adams.
That show was supposed to be so up, and so great, and so perfect parent.
Right.
You
think that was a racial stab?
Whitey.
You think that's a racial
stab? And the
stab?
other guy's got a friend named Lumpy.
Yeah.
Jeff Adams says, I think you guys are racist because you do not have an Indian on the show.
Yeah.
Well, let me just correct you. Hold it. Hold it. My grandmother looked like Sitting Bull. You know why? Because she was a Taino Indian. She was an original.
I would at least say Sacagawea.
He said Sitting Bull.
But not Sitting Bull.
That was almost like
going, she looked like a dude.
That was almost like going to, that was almost like saying she looked like Geronimo. I mean, damn.
No, and Geronimo.
Oh, yeah.
They all looked alike too.
I thought you said Shitting Bull.
So that's why you're a Taurus, because you look like Sitting Bull.
Exactly. No, but my grandmother used to have, she used to do everything that was like Indian. She had all the garments all multicolor. Right. She did rituals. She did all sorts of stuff that the Taino Indians, or they're known by the Europeans as the Borinquen Indians. Yeah. Those are the pure Indians. On my mother's side, my grandfather was half Taino, Rodriguez. Wow. And so the Rodriguez clan is Taino.
So, Jeff Adams says if I had 15% of Indian in me, I would be getting casino money.
Well,
got a picture of your grandma here.
I know. She did leave a lot of land.
Coffee Guy says we need to songify. We need to songify the clip. My mama looked like.
There's my grandmother.
There it is, grandmother.
She had the same nose, same lips. The hair, she had it like in pigtails, and it was very, very harsh, kind of like, almost kinky hair.
I can see that looking like a woman. That does kind of have like a tough looking matriarch of a
and she was tough like that.
Man.
She used to beat my father with a bat.
Oh, hell.
My father ran away from home when he was young.
And next up to bat, Sitting Bull takes the plate.
Thank you, Eric. Well, that story, I was just about to talk about that.
Talk about it, Derek.
Yes, a woman was pulled from rubble in Bangladesh factory disaster. What we talked about earlier this week, last week. A woman.
Speaking of those people that all look alike.
Yes. No. Who live next to India, the real Indians. A woman has been rescued from the collapsed factory building in Bangladesh after 17 days after it collapsed. Local television stations broadcast live images of emergency service workers pulling the woman from the rubble. However, the death toll from the tragedy has climbed over 1,000 people. It is believed that more bodies might still be trapped 2 weeks after the Rana Plaza complex accident occurred. The disaster near the capital, Dhaka, is said to have been triggered when generators were starting up during a blackout. Focus has been placed on the Western retailers who use the impoverished country as a source of cheap goods. The garment industry, worth almost 15 billion euro, accounts for 80% of the South Asian country exports. The Bangladeshi government has blamed the owners and buildings of the 8-story complex for using shoddy materials. The European Union has threatened punitive measures in order to press Dhaka to improve safety standards for the 4 million people who work in the garment industry. So we did find there is at least one survivor from the rubble after 17 days after it collapsed.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it jumped from 500 people dead to over 1,000.
I know.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Maybe more.
Urek Wildcats, just think about it, about this when you shop at Walmart. Well, and there's other stores that are involved in this besides Walmart. I think JCPenney has some clothes made in Bangladesh. I mean, just about everybody.
If it's not in China, it's going to be either in Bangladesh or Pakistan or India.
Thailand.
Yeah, one of the South Asian places because they have the people power, obviously. Matter of fact, also there was another update. They actually shut down at least 2 or 3 other factories in that area of Bangladesh due to safety violations because they didn't want another tragedy like this to happen again. Have 1,000 or so plus people die in one building.
Well, you know, you're right. I don't really shop at Walmart. I think first of all the store is too big. I get tired.
Right.
Go find something. So I don't know. Think of oh, by the way, your brother Coffee Guy says, but I guess no more of America than those 3 girls being rescued in 10 years. And then he says, I do not think the sports teams' names are relevant. So he's bouncing around a little bit, but I think as a Redskin, one would think of a proud warrior.
Yeah. We talked about 1-on-1. I know Coffee Guy. We talked about this say about last week or 2 weeks ago about I think the owner of the Washington Redskins wanted to change the mascot name from Redskins to something else, and I also added on to it that I mean whether if you think it is racist or not, the thing is they're trying to find a way to get more ticket sales. Trying to make it better because it's not the first time Washington D.C. had to change its names. I mean, like they used to have a baseball team called Washington Senators, and they got went out of business, and they brought baseball back to Washington D.C. Now it's the Washington Nationals, and also even the NBA, the Washington basketball team, the Washington Wizards weren't always called the Wizards, and back in the 70s they were called the Washington Bullets, and people thought that had some of a racist tone to it as well because Washington D.C. at the time was like 75 to 80% black, and they had a high crime rate, very high crime rate, and they called the Washington Bullets, and they thought
all the shootings by the blacks.
Yeah, so they changed it to the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, well, in New York we had a team called the Redskins, and they changed it to Red Storm. It was that big college in New York. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
It wasn't NYC, was it?
NYC.
Oh,
that's
what?
right.
Okay.
They changed the name to Red Storm because they were complaining about the racism, and New York changed the name to Red Storm.
So Donnie Curry said bye and disappeared on us. He had the big hissy fit.
No, he said bye and stayed. He's still here.
I thought he was gone. Okay, he said bye. I gotta go, guys. I thought, okay, well that's Donnie Curry.
Now he's gone.
Hitting and running.
But he left the last message. He said, I have respect for the black community because I know history. To get along with them in Reno and everywhere I go on the West Coast, LOL. And in the South, I just evaluate the area now and have it like it, plaque for my betterment, whatever.
All right.
Okay.
Let me do
Bye, Donnie.
Precinct 3 disciplinary files. I got 2 more for us today. Officer Christopher Bertram, badge 536. This is for the Macon Police Department. He has no disciplinary action received within the past 2 years.
Great.
He was hired December 27th, 2011. So, Officer Bertram, 536, has a fine record. Then we go to Derek Ubel, UEBEL, another Precinct 3 Macon police officer, badge number 585. He has an accident. Another accident, guys. Accident.
Terrible drivers, man.
1.46 operating vehicles. He was in his Ford Crown Victoria, 2001 version. And he struck a fixed object. According to his report, I'll read his report off. And that's all he has. So, we don't have any complaints against him by anybody so far, as we know. So he seems to be okay too.
Okay,
he just can't drive. He just can't drive like a lot of these police officers. But here's his statement. Okay, in his defense, his statement is this. Officer Ubel says on September 28th, 2012, I was writing reports in the parking lot of Waffle House when I saw a Bibb Sheriff Officer heat unit stop a vehicle. I went to see if they were all right and pulled into the parking lot of the Shell station on Riverside Drive. As soon as I pulled into the lot, the vehicle took off, went around the corner, and came straight at my vehicle. In order to avoid a collision, I swerved the vehicle sharply right and ran over a cement block in the parking lot. Suspect's vehicle was stopped by its collision with the 2 cement poles that were unseen by myself until after the accident. I then notified my supervisor, Sergeant Brett, and he arrived on the scene. So it basically sounds like this guy actually was not necessarily at fault for wrecking his car. He was getting away from the escaping.
All right. Well, I wanted to bring something up because, and especially now that Daniel Lardner brought him up.
Yes.
He says we see this dude almost every day. We ribs with this dude. You know who he's talking about?
Yeah.
Charles Ramsey. Well, there's another guy that came out of the woodwork. His name is Cordero. Something Cordero. And he's arguing the fact that Ramsey was not the first guy at the house. That he, in fact, was the one who let Amanda Berry out of the house. And that Ramsey showed up after the girl was on the phone with the police. And so now there's that little controversy going on. What do you think of that one?
It's egos. I think it's egos. I mean, I kind of see where this is going because this kind of passed through my mind before. Very, very swiftly. It didn't stay. But you know what I'm noticing? What do we see on YouTube for the past 3 years? We're seeing these songs, these viral videos of these people, which are usually always what?
What? Oh, black.
People? Having these remashed songs that become these big viral hits.
Yeah, there was another guy day before yesterday
almost
they
like
brought
the
up.
Black, the black person is just more humorous to laugh at with the whole thing, with the whole YouTube thing.
Like they used to call them minstrels, didn't they?
Well, yeah. So think about it, because if you go back, all these ones that get really viral, if I remember right, none of them are white people, right? Mm-hmm. You had the really light-skinned black guy that had the voice, the golden voice. What was his name?
Ted Williams.
You remember? He came viral. He was a dark-skinned guy, or mixed, right?
Yeah.
And then you had the sweet brown, black girl.
And then you had Antoine.
That's the guy.
Hide your wife, hide your kids.
Yeah. And now you got Charles Ramsey, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute, maybe there's something to say about this. Maybe it doesn't work for the system if it's a Spanish guy that does this and then has this mashed up song for us to.
Because she probably has a really thick.
accent. I'm getting at? It sounds
and plus you have to remember the Latino population is now the #1 minority. We're just #2. Well,
but it's not as far-fetched to think that, right?
Well,
there's not viral money in it unless it's a funny black person.
Well, Daniel Lardner says it's because black man's voice sounds better in a remix.
But it's not only a black man, it's a black woman, too.
It says white guys ain't got no show, so it ain't as good.
You might be right.
But what about the Latino guy?
Right. What about Latino guy?
Yeah.
Or girl?
Well, actually, a black Latino, because he's like my complexion anyway. But, you know.
But I know, that's just something to throw out there. You know,
people act like they ain't never heard of Christopher Columbus for some reason.
Coffee Guy says there's lots of Amish viral videos too.
Because you know what we can compare this to, and not to put myself up there, but I will. But you know, the same can be said. Right after I did my thing to the mayor at Cherry Blossom, what do we have on here? We had a story about another guy, that did it to his mayor, and it was what?
It went viral.
No, but it was what?
It was black.
It was two black guys. It was a black heckler and a black mayor. But here in Macon, Georgia, it was a white guy and a white mayor. You know, so think about that.
No, there's a difference between an auto accident and assault, guys. At the speeds cop have to go, I'd expect there to be damages. It's other offenses that towards the public is what needs to be looked for.
Who said that? Who said
Ellen
that?
Macon.
Ellen Macon. But what I'm doing, buddy, if you don't understand, if you weren't around, well, you've heard about this. I'm getting Precinct 3 files because I had this assumption. I have a feeling that there is something going on in the Precinct 3 that is a subculture of kind of bad cops. And I say that because Sutton was there, the two that stole the tractor, Wants and Guidry, and then the two that stole the guns and gave them away as gifts are all from Precinct 3. So that was the reason I started with Precinct 3 when I started going for their files. I said from the beginning I was going to announce what every file was that I got, regardless of what's in it, whether it's car wrecks, complaints against abuse or whatever, abuse of power, whatever. I was going to tell the audience and the world and the city about these people, since no one else seems to be doing that job. Since the mayor and police chief did not seem to be checking files, I'm going to do it for them. That being said, you know, of course at times we're going to have things in there like Bertram, who has a clean record. Matthew Coda, fine record. And I announced that. When they have good records, I announce it.
By the way, Coffee Guy said there are lots of whitey virals out there. Ed just does not show them. And Daniel Lardner says, yeah, they tend to be more nerdy than cool. I don't know if this guy Ramsey is nerdy, but
no, they said the white ones. He said the white ones tend to be more nerdy.
Well,
you know, I know there's, again, it's like the racist comment with Donnie Curry. I know there's other examples out there, but it seems very weird that it always seems to be the black person. The black person is the one that hits the most. The black viral one works, right?
Yeah. And even still, what I have the...
And if this guy, let me say this. This was a big news story. If this guy truly was not the first guy, I tell you what, he came across as being more sellable to society in this whole game of capitalism and YouTube and all. He sure as hell was more... He was more sellable than...
Cordero.
Exactly.
But
and that might have something to play.
But the thing that gets me is like, why is it every time when a dude who's not sagging, who's actually trying to do the right thing, someone else has to pull him down? There were some other stories from other social networks saying, well, isn't that guy, you know, some woman, you know, I guess some hating ass ex-girlfriend, he has some child support. Well, you know, he's not a hero. Well, he still saved some women's lives. That doesn't negate the fact. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, but again, that's questionable. Yeah. We're talking about Ramsey now.
And you're right. What I'm talking about too, and you're on the computer more than I am. I know that. But what I'm talking about is, you see these other videos with your white kids and your white people with their cats and all this crap. But let's face the truth, Iraq. You see those. But a lot of those are really just centered on the computer. You hear about them on Facebook. You see them on YouTube. The ones that really go beyond the computer, that like hit into mainstream media, always seems to be more so the ones like this. This dead giveaway, Sweet Brown.
Ain't nobody got time
for that. Those seem to go further than the ones that everybody sees all over the computer.
Bend my finger.
So
yeah.
Anyway, your brother wants to do a viral
It says if
video.
I get the Songify somewhere, I will remix Ant at the Cherry Blossom.
That would be great.
That'd be awesome.
To the tune of whatever. Sutton and Rickard Richard and Rickard gotta go. They have gotta go.
And then you could put that line
You're
there.
too kind. You're not kind.
By the way, Coffee Guy, the answer to your question
That'd
is,
be awesome.
Coffee Guy said, just a question, how do you make money off a viral video? Well, you have to monetize them.
Monetize them, yeah.
Monetize them. And what happens is they put in an ad before your video, and according to how many hits your ad gets, you make some money. And according to our mutual friend Howie Hansel, he used to make $5,000 a month.
Well,
of course, he raised that.
They used to tick me off.
I don't know if that's true.
But he used to game the system.
I don't think he was making that much.
I know. And how he gamed the system was he got on Gmail and sent these email links to people so they could look at them. And as soon as they opened it up, it tagged it, and he made money on it.
Yeah.
That's called my behind is just barely struggling, making 5 cents a week on my videos.
To play videos on the air and what air? On
I can't even
YouTube.
do penny candy with my dog on.
We got to do, we got Wordsmith, we got Daily Bread.
Yes.
We got the new segment, Strange Facts.
Yeah, let's do Strange Facts really quick.
Sports, too.
You want to do sports first?
Okay.
Get through. Coffee Guy's on. Let's do sports.
Yeah, okay. Well, Penguins dropped the Islanders 4-0.
Well, what sport is this?
I'm sorry. In hockey, in the NHL, the Pittsburgh Penguins dropped the Islanders 4-0 to regain series lead. Hossa scores twice as the Chicago Blackhawks eliminate the Minnesota Wild in 5 games. They advance into the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Then Ottawa eliminates Montreal in 5 games. So they also advance into the NHL finals playoffs. There was a Angels protest game. Some type of game. Baseball game. They beat the Astros 6-5 due to there was a protest over Houston. Mark Trumbo hit a 2-run double in the 8th inning before Alberto Colapso's go-ahead sacrifice fly sent the Angels to a 6-5 victory in a game that lasted more than 4 hours. Tim Tebow has been blackballed by NFL teams because of his cult-like following and media frenzy. Wow, isn't that something?
Do that story real quick.
Okay.
Let's do that one.
Yes,
see if anybody agrees with this.
Yes, as a journalist who consistently experienced wrath of the Tebow Nation, mostly for passing along the slings and arrows voiced by various NFL players, coaches, and talent evaluators, I'm well aware that many devotees of the world's most celebrated unemployed quarterback carry a heavy persecution complex. Yet as Tim Tebow's career wheezes to an underwhelming halt, with less apparent interest in his services than Massachusetts funeral parlors have in Tamerlan Sarnev's remains, something strange is happening. Against all odds, I'm starting to wonder whether the man who helped the Denver Broncos become the league's most stunning success stories in 2011 is getting unjustly blackballed. This is written by Michael Silver. It says 9 days after Tebow was released by the New York Jets, it has become increasingly clear that the ultra-popular quarterback who has hijacked many a news cycle has no viable landing spot. No NFL team seems to want him as a starter, backup, converted H-back, or fake punt decoy.
Wow.
And it's not like he's spending off big money offers from Canada, the Canadian League, either. And he seems like a great guy to have on the team, and I'd be tempted to bring him in as our backup.
Well, let me just say why. Why are they behaving like this against Tebow?
I'm going to say it again. I said it on the show last week or two. I'm going to say it again. I think there is, as a whole, within the NFL, there is a plot and a scheme to get him out of there because they don't like his style of play and they don't condone it. And they don't want him representing...
What's his style of play?
They don't, let me tell you, they don't want him... They have a feeling that if they let him loose on a team as the starter, he might completely change the whole game the way they've been wanting to sell it to the audience forever.
Mm-hmm.
He might change the whole idea of it, and if it works and he continually gets his team to the Super Bowl, or is a big part of getting them to the Super Bowl, that's not what maybe the NFL, this big sort of cabal that it is, wants.
Right.
And maybe, and I thought that back as to the reason why the Jets had him but did nothing with the guy.
Well, but what is his style of play?
He plays more like high school football. He plays that sort of way. He plays, which it seems to work. He scrambles, he runs more
instead of a pocket quarterback.
As a pocket quarterback, he doesn't play the way the NFL teaches you to play.
Right.
And the point is that what usually happens when the teacher is dethroned by the student, what happens? Or if the teacher feels threatened by the student, what happens? Because wait a minute, the teacher's teaching is not going by the rules. You're not listening to the teacher's teaching, who is supposed to know everything. Hence, it's the teacher, and you're basically challenging the teacher.
Wow.
And what you're challenging the teacher with might prove to work, and therefore it throws your teachings out the window. And that's kind of what I think's happening. What's Coffee Guy think? Because he's a sports guy, and I think Coffee Guy kind of feels Tebow.
Well,
yeah, that's a question. How do you think you can make
that's
Ball
old. You need to read. You're back. What do you have on your side, Urban?
Says he has a lot of heart, though.
He has a lot of heart. Let the dude play for reals. Jeff Adams show.
Yes.
I don't understand why. Maybe they need that kind of injection in the game. Somebody who plays differently so that he throws everybody off.
But they don't want it, obviously, and that's what I think it has to do with.
And Coffee Guy says a great point, not just high school, more like college. He says great college players do not always translate to NFL that great. But
why not?
Like Ricky Williams.
Right.
I mean, Ricky Williams was a good
Miami
player.
Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins.
But why not? Because to me, it's supposed to be all about winning, right, guys?
Right.
It's supposed to be all about bringing the money to your team. The owner wants to win. He wants to get the money. He wants to get the fame. He wants to get everything. He wants to bring the excitement to the city, blah, blah, blah. If you're winning, who cares how it's done as long as it's done by the rules of the game?
Well, Coffee Guy says it is a much quicker game at NFL level.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Who cares? I mean, you're right. It does mean something to the NFL, obviously. But see, I just don't agree with that. That it comes across like an evil corporate kind of plan. You know, it kind of does. It's like the guy. You thought the guy was talented enough to take him from college, right? Let him play, but then when he does what he does, and he seemed to do pretty good that first year. I mean, he brought his team to the playoffs,
right?
And they knocked the Steelers out. Remember?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, he was doing good, and it almost showed that this guy might be onto something. And then they just pulled the plug on him. It just seems like the big head honchos in the NFL pulled the plug on the guy.
He was big as a college guy.
But he was doing
good. He was legend.
He was doing good as a pro also.
He had two national championships. I mean, he kicked Georgia Bulldogs behind.
And it was almost like
I wish he played for Georgia.
It's almost like they didn't want him here because, again, he was going against the teachings of the big bad master.
Wow.
I mean, you know, it sounds like that to me.
Yeah.
Because Sanchez for the Jets was horrible.
Yeah, he really
every
sucked.
week he was sucking. And then they said, well, Tebow's not playing because he's hurt. I begin to wonder whether he was really that hurt. I just think they didn't want to let the guy have a chance, and they left this.
That's what your brother says. I agree.
Like Sanchez, and Sanchez should have been pulled games before. Every week after week, I would turn the NFL on, and Sanchez is starting for the Jets, and I'm going, why are you playing this dumbass? This guy is doing nothing for the team, and you keep playing him. And it just was ridiculous to me. It was. I would have been pissed if it was my Dolphins they were doing that with.
Yeah,
that's very true.
I mean, it was the Jets, and I don't care about the Jets. But.
Yeah, I know it's kind of messed up that way. I do have some stuff going on. I think night before last. Yeah, Wednesday night basketball. The Miami Heat came back and tied the series 1-1 in the playoffs against Chicago Bulls. They won 115-78, but they were in Miami. The next game, Game 3, is going to be tonight on TNT at 8 o'clock. Miami Heat versus the Chicago Bulls at Chicago.
Oh, wow.
At 8 o'clock.
See, I wish I had that. I like basketball.
That's because you like seeing these big, tall, strapping black men running up and down the court in small shorts, Irving.
And also,
that's why.
And also on excuse me, ESPN.
Bob Albert in disguise.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Not TNT, ESPN. And also, they're going to have a game tonight. Also and after that, at 10:30, they're going to have the San Antonio Spurs, the Western Conference semifinals. The San Antonio Spurs versus the Golden State Warriors. That's going to be at 10:30 tonight. Later tonight, after the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls game later tonight, their series is also tied 1-1.
So Derek and Coffee Guy and any other sports people on the line there, I haven't kept up with this. So are the Bulls getting back to their Michael Jordan days of glory? Are they now a good team again? Well, who's on the
I don't
Bulls
know about
now?
all that. That's
Well, who's on the Bulls now? I mean, who's bringing them this far? Who are the people on the Bulls, Coffee Guy? I don't follow it.
Well, Yannick Noah.
Is he on the Bulls?
Well, his son, Yannick Noah's son is playing for the Bulls. And who was also on the national championship Florida basketball team.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I was just wondering why the Bulls are finally, because once Jordan and Pippen and all them left, remember the Bulls just they tanked, man.
Yeah.
The Bulls sucked for years. But
They
now
still do, kind
well,
of.
no, they're in the playoffs. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, they're in the
back
playoffs.
up.
Yeah,
So-
but are they the ones that they're looking at to win? Are they the powerhouse team?
But people still going for the Miami Heat because they're the defending champions and stuff. And
the Heat was doing pretty good for a while, no?
Yeah, they're doing for a while. They choked for a while because LeBron wasn't able to go a whole four quarters a game. But I think Miami's going to be the team to beat. I think if Chicago Bulls do beat the Miami Heat in the conference, I think they pretty much will go all the way and probably face either San Antonio or Golden State. But the thing is, once they beat Miami, the only team they have to play is I think the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right. That's the only other team in their conference, I think. Yes.
Wow. Anything else? So we can wrap up
sports,
We're
and then
now
we'll do
at 10:50.
We'll do word origins. We'll do daily bread.
Well, I think that's pretty much all we have for sports right now.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
Somebody give us a page number.
You know what? I was thinking about the sports segment. I said we have to give it more attention than we've been doing.
Well, I wanted to say this. I was thinking this driving here, guys. And this will give a little, but we have to stick with it. We got to remember this, guys. Monday. Let's go ahead and give our teaser, and let's say we're going to have a new and improved version of the morning roast Monday.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So what we'll do, guys, is we can't find that list. We're going to revamp the show as far as like the way it goes. It's not going to change much other than that. We're not going to change the look of the stage, the set, or anything, other than clean up some spots.
Right.
But we're gonna revamp the way we handle these segments.
Yeah.
So it'll start Monday.
So that you won't have to complain. Move on.
Well, what it'll be is we're gonna break it down into local, news, national, international, with banter in between. It'll be the same stuff, but it's just gonna be a little more formed.
And we're gonna add some other things to it if we can.
And we'll try that Monday.
Strange facts, maybe one of them. It depends on how it goes over today. Here are some strange facts, and all of these have been verified according to this site. During your lifetime, you'll eat 60,000 pounds of food. That's the weight of 6 elephants. That's a lot of food. Now, they're talking average.
Yeah.
All right?
Honey Boo Boo's family is bigger than that.
Yeah. Dolphins sleep with one eye open.
I wish the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins would at least have one eye open when they play some of their games.
Really?
Because they're playing with both eyes closed.
Yes.
Sometimes.
And they're a little whatever.
Go ahead.
The world's oldest piece of chewing gum is over 9,000 years old. So they invented chewing gum back in the...
Who chewed it? Cleopatra? What the hell?
There are more plastic flamingos in the United States than real ones.
I believe that. I believe that. Those tacky
What's the one about the astronauts? I saw there was one before it.
In space, astronauts cannot cry because there's no gravity. So the tears can't flow down their faces. What if they come out and go up? I mean, I'm sure they can still cry. I mean, that's not a...
there's the tears just keep...
They just... A tear isn't considered if it flows down your face. It's just if your eyes tear up with water.
See, so
it doesn't matter where it goes.
See, so that means Ralph Crandon would have never made his wife cry when he punched her to the moon. She would have never cried about it.
About 3,000 years ago, most Egyptians died by the time they were 30.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, did you know you can't breathe underwater?
Oh, Ed's got his own
Unless
fun
you're
facts.
a fish.
Yeah.
Can't breathe underwater. All right, more people use blue toothbrushes than red ones.
I disagree. Mine are more red than anything because red's my favorite.
Well, it's because of the blood it has on them.
No, red's my favorite color.
Anyway, a sneeze travels out of your mouth at over 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
Ah!
It's true.
And it's 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
My God. Roof shakes.
Well, I have something called a snorf. I sneeze and cough at the same time. Your ribs move about 5 million times a year every time you breathe.
And I don't know how it affords that security deposit every time.
And did you know the slugs have 4 noses?
Wow, but it can't move for jack.
So the shadow really doesn't know shit. It's the
Did
slug
you
that
know,
knows.
and this is no bullshit. I ain't making this shit up.
Right.
I ain't bullshit.
Okay.
Which means he
A
is.
kangaroo has 3 vaginas.
We already did that.
Does he?
That story was
I
already
didn't know
told.
that.
Well, where was he? He didn't know.
He's always daydreaming.
Well, speaking of animals, coming out of an animal like Ed, owls are the only birds that can see the color blue. And finally,
I would think the blue jay could see blue.
And finally, it was once against the law to slam your door in the city of Switzerland.
The city of Switzerland?
That's what it says.
In
a
the
city in Switzerland.
I was going to say, those strange facts go out the window there.
Well, another strange fact right here, no bullshit either.
Okay.
What's
That
that?
in Macon, Georgia, it is against the law
Red
to
shoes.
whistle out loud
Oh.
between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m.
Well, I break that all the time.
There's a couple of more, but we'll shorten the segment so we can move on. We have 5 minutes. Wordsmith.
What?
Wordsmith.
You ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Page number. We're waiting.
Word.
Purge number.
Page number and the entry number,
Quick.
please.
Quick. 1 through 550 something. 560, 70 something. Just pick something for crying out loud.
I'll just say 253. That's just.
All right. Let somebody else give the other.
Thank you. And welcome to Wordsmith.
Wordsmith. All right.
A segment of the morning roast.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 choices.
This is like the dating game, isn't it? 3 bachelors.
Well, is anybody giving a number? 1 through 9?
Plastic Cam, because says
We
69.
already got the page. I want the 1 through 9.
129. Those numbers are too high, folks. By the way, Coffee Guy says, I want my t-shirt that says, my grandma looks like Sitting Bull.
I like that.
Okay, do you have, I guess, Plastic
5.
Cam says.
What?
Oh, 5.
Wait. Plastic Canvas said 9. She was first.
Okay. Do we have 9 or do we have 5?
Get out of my yard.
Okay.
You want to read it? Or you want me to read it?
You can go ahead and read it.
Get, G-E-T. Get. Now one of the most pervasive of English words has only been in the language for the comparatively short period of 800 years. It was borrowed from Old Norse geta, G-E-T-A, although a related 100% English get, which occurs in beget, B-E-G-E-T, and forget, F-O-R-G-E-T, dates back to Old English times. Both come via a prehistoric Germanic getin, G-E-T-A-N, from Indo-European gade, G-H-E-D, which signified seas. Guess is ultimately from the same source. Gotten, G-O-T-T-E-N, is often quoted as an American survival of a primeval past participle since abandoned by British English, but in fact the original past participle of got was getten, G-E-T-T-E-N, which lasted into the 16th century. Gotten, G-O-T-T-E-N, was a Middle English innovation based on such models as spoken and stolen. Got originated as an abbreviated form of gotten, which in due course came to be used on both sides of the Atlantic as the past tense of the verb, replacing the original gat. G-A-T. Gat.
Wow.
All right.
How about that?
Wordsmith, supplied by John Ato, Dictionary of Word Origins.
Thank you, Shaibuki.
Thank you very much, Shaibuki.
All right. So, I guess we're going to wrap it up before we do Daily Bread in the roster. We'll
Ed sent me that.
We'll say
What the hell is that?
Have a good weekend.
Just asked me if was it too much booty?
Oh, yeah.
Well, booty. What
That's
about the
ridiculous.
camel toe in the front?
Too much boobs and booty
This
on a
is
body
the Morning
that's like that.
Roast. It's on Monday through Fridays,
Not
8 to
necessarily.
11 a.m. We're on vonlive.tv/The
Gary
Morning Roast.
Gleichen.
We thank you all. We're about to get out of here. Have a great weekend. Remember Slim Sims if you're local. We are busy. Reminder before we go, Irvin, and before we do Daily Bread, is we have to invite all of you tomorrow Just to be safe, get to the Kroger parking lot on Pinono. This is the Kroger near Precinct 3 that Sammy Davis Jr. was shot at. Meet there, just to be safe, 10 o'clock. 10:30, I think, is the leaving time.
Right.
10 o'clock in the morning, we're going from there all the way down Pinono. Take a right on Vinyl for Forsyth, all the way down to City Hall with a couple of stops in between. At City Hall, we will speak. There's a few people speaking. There are a few people speaking. And we'll be there. After that, I think, is a cookout at Tatnall Square Park.
At Tatnall Square Park, which is on...
Al will be there.
Al will be there.
Mercer University.
David Kuzno might even be there.
Yeah.
For food.
Free food.
But
Al Tillman.
Let's be honest. Ed will
Al
be there.
Tillman
Let's
will
be honest. Ed will be there.
Al Tillman will be there.
Ed will be like, I'm not marching, but I'll show up at the park afterwards. Ed will be hanging out at the park.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, that's all I got. We're going to send it over to these guys. Again, have a great weekend. We thank you all.
All right, waiting to cheer. We were talking sports just a moment ago, so it's a good segue. Waiting to cheer. In his very first Little League baseball game, a young player on the team I was coaching got hit in the face with a ball. He was hurt, but was understandably shaken. For the rest of the season, he was afraid of the ball. Game after game, he bravely tried, but he just couldn't seem to hit the ball. In our final game, we were hopelessly behind with nothing to cheer about. Then that young man stepped up to take his turn. Twack! To everyone's surprise, he hit the ball sharply. His teammates went wild. His parents and his teammates' parents cheered loudly. Even though he was still losing the game, I was jumping up and down. We all loved this kid and cheered him on. I imagine that the Lord cheers on our lives as well. He loves us deeply and desires that we may be able to comprehend what is the width and length and depth and height, to know the love of Christ which surpasses all knowledge. Ephesians 3:18-19. Some think of the Lord as unloving and waiting for us to slip up so he can punish us. So we have the privilege of telling them of his deep love for them. Imagine their joy when they hear about the God who loves them so much that he sent his only son to die on the cross for their sin, and who wants to cheer them on. Help us, Heavenly Father, to see the many ways you love and encourage us. Then help us to love and encourage those around us so they can see you in us. The nail-pierced hands of Jesus reveal the love-filled heart of God. And to know the love of Christ which surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Ephesians 3:19. There you have it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yes, exactly. As you were saying, this is going to be the march is going to be tomorrow. As you said, at 10, starts at 10 a.m.
No, I believe it starts at 10:30. But
10:30.
just to be safe, I want to get there by 10.
Yeah,
10,
sounds
10,
good.
10 o'clock. I don't want to be dragging in there. You know, we got to
Last
decide.
minute.
We got to find out whether I'm leaving the car downtown to where we can drive back from downtown, or leave it at Kroger. But then once we get downtown, we have to find a ride back to Kroger.
Well, they have a bus that's going to...
I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because just want to say it's just want.
Are you gonna be there with your car? Because that's how we can do it.
Okay, yeah, I have my car.
Well, let's
This
do this.
is running,
then.
thank
Let's
goodness.
do this, Derek.
I want to thank Reverend Evans for fixing the getting the alternator put back on my car. The rebuilt alternator on the car, so
That's
it's working.
sweet.
Yeah.
And
we'll do that. We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
We'll do that with the cars.
It's now 7. It's 11:03 a.m. It's 71 degrees right outside of Macon, Georgia. It's sunny so far with a high of 83 and a low of 63. There's still a slight flood warning for some surrounding counties. It's not Bibb County, thank goodness. It's not one of them because
Wilcox is one.
Wilcox County is there.
Bleckley,
There is one. Bleckley and Wilcox County.
A couple of others.
But definitely there will be some showers. So those who are going to be attending the march, please have your umbrellas ready.
Yes, the march must go on.
Yes, and want to thank all our viewers: Because 77, Winchester 9708, Uric Wildcat, Ellen Macon, Plastic Canvas, The Coffee Guy, Acid DJ, Blue Notes, Crom 1, Cyrus, Daniel Lardner, Drunk Stone Nutter, 1 of 1, Strange Place, Jews, C Games and the Jeff Adams Show, and also who was here? Donnie Curry, who was here earlier.
T.L. Wilson.
T.L. Wilson was here earlier.
We had quite a few.
Yes, and also
we were #1 for a little while. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaughn TV for showing us on there. Also, there's some movies coming out this weekend. Tyler Perry's The Peoples is supposed to be coming out, as well as Baz Luhrmann of Moulin Rouge fame and Romeo and Juliet. He has his film version of The Great Gatsby is coming out this weekend tonight. Well, it's featuring Tobey Maguire and Leonardo DiCaprio.
All right, let's get out of here. We're rambling.
Take it. We'll see you Monday.
Nice to hear you ramble.